Dumps it off short. Quentin Johnston has the first down, and off he goes. They are not going to catch him. No flags. The magic continues for TCU.
This is 365 Sports, powered by SicEm365.com.
Big Shipley's going to break free. Across the 10, he's into the end zone for a touchdown. 32 yards.
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
May looking, guns it in the end zone, touchdown, Carolina. Bryson Nesbitt.
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Williams, and it's intercepted. Cam Smith read it so well.
Cam Smith was all over that play.
Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube. Brought to you by TFNB, your bank for life.
Big Shipley's going to break free. Across the 10, he's into the end zone for a touchdown. 32 yards.
Now here's David Smoak and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go. SicEm365.com, the umbrella of what we do every day. 365 Sports here on the YouTube channel. Garrett Ross, Graham Braunstein, Jack McKenzie, and Emery Winter are full throttle with us today. Craig Smoak, I'm David Smoak, and we have much to get to. Our guest lineup, including Joseph Duarte from the Houston Chronicle, Mark Daniels, voice of UCF, Mack Rhodes, Baylor's Director of Athletics, Craig's off the radar, Chris Level, who was going to be with us yesterday but lost his phone in like a glass of water. He's back with us today instead at 5:10, and John McClain, Hall of Fame columnist today. Also, Garrett, do you have the picture from Paula Fleck in the airplane? This is Paula Fleck, and she is as loyal, and we have a bunch of unbelievably loyal viewers and listeners on her way on a flight from the Southwest Airlines. I think she had mentioned somewhere on the East Coast, and listening to our show 37,000 feet up in the air. We appreciate Paula and her commitment to 365 Sports.
Yeah, no, it's not easy to get Wi-Fi up there, and not just free, so not sure what the connection was like, but we do appreciate you listening however you do, whenever you do. No, it sounds cliche. It's kind of the radio thing, but we mean it. So, yeah, thank you very much.
All right, so there's a lot to get to today, and we will, not right now, but we will when we have Chris Level on. We maybe get some feedback from you on your worst losing your cell phone or damaging it stories of all time. One of the stories today, and really from yesterday, Pete Thamel from ESPN, and I did trade a voicemail with him and also a text message with him, but he had kind of an overview. I don't know of anything within the story that was breaking news. I don't know of anything in the story that really had not been discussed at some point. It was almost, though, like a clockwork timeline, whatever you want to say, a couple of different things about how they want to remain in the Pac-12. They've made that comment. However, Thamel, sources telling ESPN Colorado's patience has waned, which prompted the in-person meeting back with the Big 12 in May, which is something that we mentioned to you even the week before that happened. He does mention the Pac-12 doesn't feel like they'll be blindsided if, in fact, Colorado happens to leave because they have San Diego State right there with a desirable market.
Yeah, the exact quote on that particular part of it was, the Pac-12 won't be blindsided if Colorado does end up leaving. It has been acknowledged around the league that the Buffaloes would be replaced by San Diego State, a quick solution that delivers a desirable market. I've long found over the last few months, the hidden topic that gets talked about somewhat, but not nearly as much as all the other stuff, is what exactly is the Pac-12's plan for expansion? And I brought this up numerous times here lately as far as the SMU piece, because sometimes they get mentioned, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're mentioned and it's like, oh yeah, they're a strong bet. Sometimes they're mentioned in passing, and sometimes you're like, does the Pac-12 have any, do they really have interest in SMU? Is there Is there going to be an invite? I think that's still very murky. San Diego State's a layup. I mean, from all indications, even if everything just stays as is, that seems like that's going to happen sooner rather than later, and it makes all of the sense in the world. I like, though, that, for all the discussion, and he delves into, like, the whole rest of the landscape, too. It was a great piece just to kind of center everything again. And so if you were somebody who's getting caught up, or maybe you were out of pocket and you're just not maybe as into it as other people, so you're not following every little wrinkle every day, this was a great piece to kind of put everything all in one spot and let you know where it all stands right now. But as far as that pack line about, it's been acknowledged around the league that the Buffaloes would be replaced, it seems to indicate to me that there's at least some discussion that there's a possibility somebody could move. And that flies in the face of, there's absolutely nothing that could happen. And, I understand, drawing lines in the sand and all of that, but we've maintained now for a little while, not, months and months and months, that it's, it's all in the works and everything, but I don't know. I think that it's more than some people want to acknowledge, and probably not as far along as others want to acknowledge, right? It's still like everything else, somewhere in the middle. Yep. But that line to me, it's like if they're talking around the offices about what if Colorado leaves, well, then the job's well done by Brett Yormark, and just the
because San Diego State was supposed to be an addition,
right?
Not a addition by subtraction.
And then it became they could fill a spot, and then maybe SMU could fill. It became, well, what if Colorado leaves and Arizona leaves, and then then we get San Diego State, and then maybe you go get SMU, and then when there was thoughts that it would be even more, it's like, well, Tulane could be in there, and there was that whole conversation about a month or two ago, but the San Diego State thing feels like the one addition that you can fully wrap your arms around. It's just a matter of when, not if. And then, I thought, again, it was interesting for him to say, there's people within the Pac-12 that are acknowledging the possibility. And to me, that, is not nothing. And I just think that needs to be kind of highlighted just briefly because clearly there is that discussion within those walls to some extent. And that's interesting.
Well, there's other stories on the ACC, the Big Ten/SEC, and much more. But that was last night. It is on ESPN.com, but it is a insider-type article that is on ESPN+. Spencer Goff on Colorado. I honestly wanted Colorado back just mostly based off nostalgia, but that is over for me. I'm worn out. Go get San Diego State or UConn and let's move on.
From a Pac standpoint, I guess, or
no,
a Big 12
about
nostalgia?
A Big 12
yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I totally understand that sentiment. I think that clearly they've got that circle around them that the Big 12 is enticed by what that addition would bring. Not for everybody. I've seen plenty of people that go why do they matter, or why would that matter? And maybe it's the Denver market that the response is, or the nostalgia factor, the fact they've been in the league before, what it would do as far as time zone, TV windows, and things like that. There's a lot of reasons why, but I definitely have seen some sentiment that people don't really care that Colorado doesn't move the needle for them, or they've got tired head over it, and therefore they don't really care what Colorado ends up doing. And that's kind of the game you're playing too here, I think, of just everybody still, getting to a point where they need some things to break because it's become exhausting.
Well, in fact, this is from Scott of Graywater Watch. When this story, realignment and the TV deal in the Pac-12 ends, I'm going to have the biggest sports-gasm ever.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Scott, we all will.
Dude.
I mean, I really might just take whatever's next to me and guzzle it. I don't know what it might be, or just slam my hand on a nail to make me feel, oh, that felt better. It doesn't hurt because that finally story ended.
Tell you, for me, last night I was on YouTube for a moment and was just looking at a video, and next thing you know, a recommendation pops up, and it was an interview with John Wilner, who, again, I've said I think he does a good job, but it was from last year's Pac-12 Media Days, and you could have fast-forwarded that conversation and just replayed it today, and I think it would have sounded like it was in the present. And it was from last year's Media Days. It was talking about the threat of the Big 12. It was talking about George Kliavkoff's, responses, and I don't know, maybe that's one of the last times we heard from him. But yeah, it's been a long time, and that really really made me realize that last night. I was like, oh, well, that's media. Oh, guess what? Media days is like a month away. We're about to hit the 1-year mark since he said those comments that have really not changed at all in the 11 months since then. So, it's been a drag.
And the Big 12 has been through it. Believe me, they've had their moments of uncertainty, some blindsided stories, the one from Nebraska, Colorado, which I think kind of slowly gained some steam, and then, of course, the one A&M and Missouri, which was right after they had "We're all in it together," whatever it was, the slogan in the Big 12 at the media days up. I think at the Omni, even in Dallas, and then, of course, Texas OU. So they have been blindsided and had to react many, many times over the years. All right, now, story yesterday evening, Baylor defensive back A.J. McCarty, really talented young player, entered the transfer portal. A tweet that he did at 7:42, A.J. McCarty said that he's looking forward to a different place. Loved his time at Baylor, but he's entering the transfer portal. At 7:49, A.J. McCarty mentioned that he had an offer from Texas Tech. At about 7:49.1, there was a lot of, whoa, how can that be possible? I did a little due diligence on this. Craig, I know you and also Grayson had your Bearcast today, which is available now up online. But I don't think this was Texas Tech jumping in before A.J. McCarty made his decision. The staff there, including Joey McGuire, Josh Bookbinder, Blanchard, they all know him. They didn't have to do any due diligence. They know of him. I don't know if A.J. McCarty has ever been known as a bad character or a bad kid. He had times where he had to grow up and mature, maybe did some things he shouldn't have done. I'm not talking about legally, but whatever his future was, he enters the portal. He's going to visit Texas Tech. That, to me, when I first saw it, though, Craig, I said 7 minutes later, this doesn't look right. I then did some due diligence, and I feel like everything here, because they know him, they did not have to go and look around of who the player might be had it been a kid. In fact, let's say at Missouri wanted to offer him, you would think that they would have had to take some time to kind of figure him out.
Yeah, sure. Good for him. I think Baylor made the decision they made and moved on, and he has now the free reign to go, where he's wanted, and Texas Tech made that known pretty quickly. And as you said, I think he's already got a visit set up, so that just seems like it's going to be 1 + 1 = 2. Texas State offered as well, so that's 2 opponents on Baylor's schedule next year that have offered him. So, perhaps others join the fray. Maybe not. Maybe he's decided by, the end of the week and there's no need for any new offers. But because of declaring himself a, transfer after the portal deadline, barring some waiver, he won't be available to play next year. I'm not sure how that'll work out, but good luck to him. And hope he finds a spot where he's, able to make out a nice career for himself.
All right, so there's the A.J. McCarty news. I also, when kind of looking into it, I was told by somebody within Baylor Athletics that their young players on defense are some dogs. And a couple of them are transfers that have come in. The linebacker from LSU, who's been around now for another year. The kid from Liberty, Smith, among some others that have transferred in. Then, of course, Utah State. Those are some older players. But the younger players, the younger defensive players, whether they've been rated highly or not, what they have compiled there is perhaps a lot more than I thought. Now we'll go see what they do during the 2023 football season.
It sounds good, but, we need to see it, obviously, and that's, encouraging because there's not really a lot known about this team right now. They don't have really what you would consider stars at the moment. I know there's been a lot of discussion over on the board about me making those comments and just that conversation in general of star power and what it is and how much do you need and those types of things. And I think, Grayson brought up a good point earlier today of, well, part of the reason why you may not feel like they have star power is because maybe those guys that are going to be their stars are some of the 10-plus guys that came in this offseason. And you're right, that's possible, and that's the hope, obviously, that you want Keytron Jackson or Dominic Richardson or any other number of players that have joined the fold, Mike Smith from Liberty, to be your stars. But, they don't have a lot of that that star power at the moment on paper, but if it's building up behind the walls and we just aren't available to see it just yet, then that's great news, and that's something for Baylor fans to definitely be excited about, and I would imagine love hearing. I hope that we get to see some of that this season, because they could use a little bit of a youth influx of that next wave of guys coming, because right now it's not apparent who that's going to be. You're getting down to the end of the careers of guys like TJ Franklin and Garmin Randolph and those types of players, and beyond that, it's a lot of I don't know who these guys are going to be or how good they are just yet, because we really haven't seen them much. So yeah, that's encouraging.
All right, from Chris, Super Chat, $5, thank you. I saw ESPN had 5 Big 12 teams in the preseason top 25 with Baylor at 23. How confident are you that Baylor can contend for a Big 12 title? I don't think you're talking basketball, so I know this happens to be football. I don't see Baylor, at least for now, no matter what I was just said or told, I do not see them as a preseason top 25 team. We will know who they are in week 2 when they host a hellacious school, Utah, that's won 2 back-to-back big Pac-12 titles. Then, even if they lose that game, we might know more about them as a better team, but I don't know who they are, and I would not have them among my top 25, at least as of now. Also, let's correct that. In 2021, I sure as heck didn't have them going 12-2, and I was wrong, big time wrong, but they did have some, as Craig mentioned, they had some dudes coming back, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They made the change at running back with Abram Smith, and they were much better than I ever thought they could be.
I think that they can certainly contend for a Big 12 title. I think that it's a situation right now where I would not put them as probably a top 4 to do that. So I guess let me explain. I wouldn't feel confident in betting on them right now, but it's entirely possible they could be far better than we imagine, because, again, there's just a lot of questions. Like, there's a lot of questions about them from who, some of their biggest playmakers are, but it's such a quiet program with Aranda at the helm that they could be jazzed up, juiced to the gills with, energy and explosiveness and all that, and we'd have the faintest of ideas in some cases. So it feels like things are going in the right direction. It appears that they are, but on paper, there's just not enough substance there right now to be confident and go like, yeah, they're going to contend for a Big 12 title. But would I put it past Dave Aranda? Absolutely not. Or this, coaching staff in general? Absolutely not. I think that they can do some good stuff this year, but I just wouldn't feel great about that right now. And as far as top 25 preseason, I wouldn't have them in there at the moment, but you could have them in there as soon as week 2, because if they, win their opener like they should against Texas State, although that's still, I'm not worried about them losing that game, but I am very interested by what Texas State's going to look like with G.J. Kinney and all of the transfer additions and just the work they've done this offseason, because that's going to be an exciting offense, at least the way it's orchestrated, and Baylor's got a lot of questions, so that might be the one that, like the first half, you're like, golly, we got to separate ourselves here. But they should win that game, and then week 2's Utah at home. And if they win that game, you would think that probably would put them, somewhere in that bottom half of the top 25. So, yeah, entirely possible. I just wouldn't feel great about it right this very moment.
Big Lubbock, is being labeled a dog a good label or a bad one? For me, it's not DOG, who are lovable animals. Nothing more better than Oreo. But to me, dog is a D-A-W-G, like Georgia, of course, are the Bulldogs. But dog to me means you're a hell of a player. I think that's what it means, whether it's your personality, your edge, your talent, or a combination of all of that. That's what, when I use the term dog, that's what I'm referring to.
Yeah, I think anybody who's hearing that term in that way, that's exactly what it's referring to. And that's really it. Yeah, they got a bunch of dogs over on that sideline. That's a compliment. They got a bunch of dogs over on that defense. That means you got a pretty good defense. So, yeah, that's pretty simple.
We will have Joseph Duarte at 325 on the Kelvin Sampson contract, plus more on Houston football and athletics. So last night, I am watching the Rangers play like they have been playing the last 6 or 8 years. A cutoff that was not picked cleanly led to a run, a wild pitch that led to a run or a pass ball. And so then I turned it over to watch Stanford and Texas, and it was 6-3 Stanford last I looked, and Texas came back with 3 in the 8th. They go to extra innings, 2 outs. It appeared as if Stanford thought they'd hit a game-winning home run, a line drive that hit at the bottom, the base of the wall. That was kind of bizarre. The runner got the second. Rios, I think his name was. And then Garrett, Craig, we all, I guess, were watching this. A high fly, routine fly ball, very high in the sky, caught up in what was a dusk-type sky and the lights, and lands about 25 feet in front of the right fielder and 40, 50 feet away from the center fielder. And Stanford wins the game, heads to the College World Series, and also with that clinched the Directors' Cup because of that win and what it means Texas cannot accomplish. But what a weird ending. Like, it happened, A&M had one lost in the lights. Texas had one lost in the lights. That was not the script that I would have thought we would have seen as an end of the game.
No, it was pretty brutal. I mean, the only person who really saw it was the second baseman, and the right fielder had just made that great throw to gun the guy out, and I felt really bad for Texas in that one.
That was a brutal loss. I mean, that's an absolutely awful way to lose a baseball game or a game of any kind. That happens there in Palo Alto, apparently. A&M can attest to it. It's a bit of brutal reversal that, probably a few days ago, fans on one side are having fun with that. And little do they know that in a few days' time, that's going to be their very end of their season. It's going to be a dropped fly ball, or a pop-up, I should say. And it's just great emotion, great excitement there for the Cardinal at the end. Great just ending if you're looking for a crazy finish, and just a wild thing to watch as a impartial observer. But for Texas fans, absolutely disgusting way to lose a baseball game, and not really anybody's fault. I mean, I'm sure you could say, like, the second baseman should have directed more, or I'm sure you can find something they could have done slightly differently to have a better opportunity to catch that ball. But that's also just something that's commonplace at that park, with that type of sky. And just the timing was brutal, and it ended their season, unfortunately. So yeah, that was disgusting to watch from one point of view, and then you flip it over to the other side, and what a weird way to win a game, and just totally abrupt. And Stanford goes, oh, there's a fly ball, oh great, and then next thing you know, you're celebrating.
Yeah, and by the Directors' Cup, Stanford clinched it. It was tight. They won 26 of 29. The last two, of course, have gone to UT in the end of the 2021, 21, 22 years. It's incredibly competitive, but Stanford clinches their 26th out of 29 years. The Directors' Cup is the best overall athletic department.
Back when they used to be the Sears Trophy, I remember hearing about it, reading about it in Sports Illustrated, or even on early Rivals message boards, and there being a lot of talk about it. Sort of, kind of. At least I was aware of it, and I didn't remember hearing about it really for a long time. And then all of a sudden started hearing about it again, even though it's been renamed like the last couple of years because Texas has won it. And I wondered why that was. And part of it's just life. Like, I just didn't pay as much attention to it or come across it as much. But I wondered sort of why that was. And life for one, but two, because Stanford just won it every year, so nobody talked about it or cared about it as much.
It was boring.
They won like 15 or however many straight it was, and so that's why I didn't hear about it very often. It was because it was just Stanford every single year for over a decade, and that's the biggest reason why. But then Texas wins it and shakes up the hierarchy for a couple of years after being in that mix along with Florida and some usual suspects, North Carolina, schools like that. And, them winning it kind of brought some new attention to it, I think. But, yeah, now the Cardinal are back on top as a result of that one result last night. And we had kind of talked about that, of where did that sit, the Directors' Cup, and the fact that those two were playing each other. So congrats to the Cardinal. Wild way to win a baseball game. And now a trip to Omaha. So TCU will be the lone Big 12 team out there playing for a title, and fitting given the way that their year is gone.
North Carolina won the first Directors' Cup or Sears Trophy. Stanford won 25 straight, then Texas 2, and now Stanford. Epe Ude.
I got to mention one note about the dog thing. Got that dog in him. That meme. Maybe you haven't seen that meme. Like X-ray, and it's got the dog in the chest area. Got that dog in him. That's another way to refer to what we were talking about a moment ago.
Former Baylor star Epe Udo is joining the staff at the Atlanta Hawks. Congratulations, Epe, a great guy, played with Baylor, helped them become a little bit better faster than people thought they would be, won a EuroLeague championship. Remember, we had him on like that next morning in 17, and now a part of the Atlanta Hawks coaching staff. When we come back, Joseph Duarte on Houston, Mark Daniels on UCF, Mac Rhodes at 420, and much more. And this is 365 Sports. earlier today went and ran a couple of different errands, and one of those was to go by Don's Humidor and Coffee Beans in the Town West Shopping Center in between Richland Drive and also Valley Mills. Went in there to pick up cigars to have for this weekend, Father's Day weekend, and also for the rounds of golf that I hope to be able to play on Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday, weather permitting. And I walked in, and Cheyenne knew exactly what cigars that I would be looking for. Walked in the humidor, 48-foot walk-in humidor, and we started just picking out 2 of these, 4 of these, 2 of these, and she was fantastic. They also have Vita Dreams. I've told you about that. They are gummy CBD product that if you take one, nibble on half of one, you kind of learn what you like or what your body and how it reacts to Vita Dreams and the CBD product that allows you to get a restful night's sleep and even better to fall asleep perhaps just a little bit quicker than you normally do if you toss and turn, or maybe a lot is on your mind. And then also on top of that, they have what you need when it comes to accessories, humidors to put the cigars in, cutters for the cigars, punch for the cigars, and even torch lighters. Cheyenne, Ashley, and Carol, Don's Humidor and Coffee Beans off Richland Drive in Valley Mills in Waco.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
It's Ram season at Allen Samuels in Waco, and the deals couldn't be any hotter. Shop the greatest selection of new inventory in Central Texas and save big on Ram trucks. Now offering 10% off MSRP on a new 2023 Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab, or get 2.9% for 72 months. The choice is yours. Plus an extra $500 bonus cash to first responders. Allen Samuels in Waco is the place to shop Ram trucks. Visit today or browse online at allensamuelsdcj.com.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Joseph Duarte yesterday with the story, Kelvin Sampson's new contract. He has earned it, no question, among the top paid college basketball coaches in America. And, of course, we're around the corner from Houston officially on July 1st, walking through the front door and officially being a part of the Big 12. And there's football season ticket news and always more. Joseph, thanks for your time. Craig Smoak, David Smoak here on 365 Sports. So this is not the sound as if they would not pay him anyway, because he was already getting paid a chunk. But does it help with the incoming infusion of money in the Big 12 to maybe do a few more things now than Houston was able to do anyway?
Yeah, but in regards to the most successful coaches they've got on campus, I think if they had to, they would have started looking in under the couch and the seat cushions to find whatever loose change they could. But you're right. The previous contract that he got in 2019, that was after their Sweet 16 appearance, the first of the first four in a row that they've had, and also Arkansas was knocking at the door, trying to lure him to Fayetteville. So they knew that as the program's gotten better and really elevated to a national title contender every year, that they wanted to keep him in line with the top, 10, 15 in the nation. And he had fallen off of that based off of the 2019 contract. So it was as much as trying to get him back where they admittedly feel he belongs and should be. And, he's creeping up on that $5 million a year range, which there are only a handful of those guys currently in college basketball. So they just wanted to get this set up. Plus, it had a lot more to do with the future of the program and how they handled the succession plan with Kelvin Sampson.
Well, Joseph, speaking of the future, not so much hoops related, but just in general, Big 12 becoming a member, as Smokey pointed out, that's here on the horizon in the next couple of weeks officially, and it does feel like we started to sort of turn that corner, start looking forward to football season, and it's coming up. So I know there's been this season ticket, madness as far as 6,000 new season tickets, passing 23,500 season tickets. That tells me there's a bit of a buzz generated right now. But how would you describe kind of this build up to Big 12 play for the Cougars?
Well, this is probably as big a build up as they've had since they were coming off of that Peach Bowl, New Year's Six Bowl season in 2015. So the 2016 season with Tom Herman, they got a really big push in the season tickets, but they haven't been in this position ever since the breakup of the Southwest Conference, that with the ability to generate this kind of buzz. And it's a 40,000 seat stadium. You look at some of the other numbers that are thrown out there, and a lot of places have higher season ticket numbers. But for Houston, this is a big step in the right direction. They were targeting about 25,000 for the first season, so they're close on it, and they want to get this place TDECU Stadium filled for their first season. They haven't had a sellout in this place since the end of the 2016 season when Lamar Jackson played here with Louisville. So it's been a long time coming, but there is a buzz, and as you see the different schedules starting to come out. And whether it's playing Kansas and Mexico, or hosting TCU in that opener, or going to Waco for Baylor, there's just a lot of momentum that Houston fans are starting to appreciate being back in a conference where they'll have some regional rivalries again, and should mean packed crowds.
You've covered Houston, the city, for a long time, and obviously what you've done at the Chronicle and more. Is this something that has a buzz like you've not seen at the University of Houston in maybe since the run and shoot years, or is that not giving them enough credit?
Well, I'm not old enough to go back to quite the run and shoot. I was around, but not here yet. But I can tell you though that let's I guess put it in context. This is a pro city, and anything that you get beyond the Astros and Rockets and Texans, it can be crumbs at times. You get the leftovers. And it's been a tough haul for Houston, the University of Houston, to sort of carve a a niche, and they have done that with the basketball program certainly, and at times it's been off and on with football, but it hasn't been a consistent momentum grab for that program. So the fact that once the Big 12 was announced 2 years ago, you just saw maybe things that hadn't been present in the last couple of decades start to come back. You're getting more interest in donors and fundraising. And Houston set themselves up for this. They, about 8 or 9 years ago, they started investing in facilities. I like the line that the AD used one time. He said, look, we had to fake it till we made it. And that's sort of what they did. They spent about $250 million plus on facilities, actually probably more than that, a lot more than that. And then they were paying coaches. So it's all added up to this buzz, and I think people are just ready now. I mean, no offense to the American Athletic Conference, but when you played some of the just no ties type teams like East Carolina and UConn and places like that over the last 10 years, you're ready to play TCU and Baylor and Texas Tech. And for one season, you're definitely ready to play the Texas Longhorns if you're a Houston fan.
What do you mean? UConn's coming, apparently.
Yeah. There's oh, I forgot. Yeah.
No, in all seriousness, oh gosh, I just lost. Oh, the Mexico situation there. I know there's still a lot of details to be ironed out on what all the Big 12 is going to have as far as Big 12 Mexico goes, but there was the announcement involving Houston. What are your thoughts on a little international flavor down south of the border?
Well, it made sense from the beginning, even before they announced the teams. They had to have had at least one Texas school part of that. And, you look at the options. Houston's the biggest market now in the Big 12 and in the state, and the closest to the border. So I thought, they were a really good pick. You could have gone with Baylor too. That Baylor-Kansas game would have been a great one too. But they had to do something that offered some type of regional, an offering for that game. I know that from a standpoint of, there's some logistics that year. It'll be a non-conference game, so it'll be I believe it's the 2024-25 season, and then the teams will play a regular season conference game in Lawrence. So there was some concern at Houston about who would have to give up a home game, but it ended up being a season where they were going to just play once in the regular season. This year they'll play a home and home. So there's some things to get through with that. I like the idea also of a bowl game being played there for football, and that would be in Monterey. And I believe that's also at the end of the 2026 season. So Brett Yormark's wanted to expand the thing nationally. Now he's going internationally, and why not? Nobody's really tapped into the Mexican market down there, and if the Big 12 feels that they could get some eyes on the conference from there, why not try it?
If it works, great. If it creates revenue, better. And if it doesn't, well, then you gave it a shot. Do any of the rumors or does any of the speculation about what else might be happening with the Big 12 outside of what you mentioned as far as possible additions down the road or what's happening with the Pac-12, does any of that register in Houston, and or does it take away anything of July 1st when everything becomes official?
No, I don't think so, because one, the 4 teams coming in, I guess when you look at how this is all played out, those 4 teams can say, hey, look, we were the next grab of teams and we got in, and they're basing it on their merits and so forth. And I don't see any talk of does it dilute the conference, because if you can add an Arizona, especially for basketball, that's a big deal. If you get a Gonzaga or a UConn for basketball, that makes the best basketball conference even stronger. And you haven't really seen, I guess you throw Colorado in there as well. You haven't seen a lot of schools that you would just shake your head and say, look, this is a desperation move. This isn't if you're going to be one of those 4 new schools, well, why are they adding these afterwards? So I don't get that feel. It was kind of interesting how the Memphis story played out recently, and whether they were, the Big 12 was on campus, whether they weren't, who's interested in who. But from the standpoint of Houston going in, they're not going to let anything after 20-something years get in the way of how they feel about just being a part finally of a Power 5 conference. So I think, this thing is going to still play its way out. Are we going to 16 teams at some point? Those 4 schools should at least be happy right now that they're in the club. It's not a matter of still having to add them. They're in, and it'll be official in 2 weeks.
Joseph, as far as, Houston being one of the 3 American schools that are coming over, of those 3, if you could rank, I guess we just start off for just football because that's what's coming up next, but how do you kind of see those 3 in terms of the way that they're coming in, the shape that they're coming in? Who do you expect to maybe have the better time in year number 1? Who do you think and it might be all 3, I don't know, but who do you think might struggle the most amongst those 3, just the way they're shaped right now?
Right. I know they're not part of it. I think, BYU, I think, is the best, as far as being independent, they're in the best shape. But as far as the 3 American, I probably would go Central Florida, then Cincinnati, then Houston, based on on-field product. I think Houston's got some answers the questions that they need answered, and I would maybe put them 2A and 2B with Cincinnati, but I think Central Florida is in best shape out of the 3.
Joseph,
from a football.
Yeah, sorry about that. Thank you very much. I can't wait to see you in Arlington with Big 12 Media Days. Appreciate your time. Craig, anything else for Joseph? Joseph, thanks for your time.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate
Joseph Duarte, Houston Chronicle, with us on Houston Athletics. Did you have another question? All right, when we come back, Mark Daniels, UCF, the voice of UCF Athletics. He's next. This is 365 Sports.
In our logo and advertising, we say we are people that you can count on. What does that mean? It starts with providing a quality vehicle and quality service at a fair price. But it also means we do what we say we will do, and we treat people fairly with respect. It starts by hiring great people, good local folks who work hard with a caring attitude. Our employees are the real reason we are people that you can count on. Put us to the test and see for yourself that at Richard Carr Motors, we are people you can count on.
Waco Custom Marketplace is your hometown grocery store with a full-service butcher shop and bakery. Hi, this is David Smoak. The butcher shop can take your customized orders for seafood, pork, and poultry and custom cut your favorite steaks from bacon wrap fillets to T-bone to bone-in ribeyes. Cut specifically the way you want. They have Norwegian salmon fillets, catfish fillets, sliced ham or turkey and lunch meat, variety of cheese available, and several options of sausage links. Fresh chicken breast or whole chickens, sliced bacon, pork chops, ground beef, marinated beef, and chicken fajitas, and always large briskets available, plus fresh vegetables. So the great product, customer service, and family tradition of the Bauer family continues at Waco Custom Marketplace, open Monday through Saturday. A full-service butcher shop and bakery available. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit Marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Chuck Verno, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Chuck Verno, 720 North 64th Street in Waco, 254-732-1161. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. Enjoying the show? Hit the like button and subscribe.
Here we go, 365 Sports. We have become, it's almost like at least once a month, it feels like that, and we'd like to do that with Mark Daniels, voice of UCF Athletics. He joins us, Craig Smoak, David Smoak, on 365 Sports. So I went to your latest Twitter feed, timeline, boom, boom, and boom from Gus Malzahn. I would think that means recruiting.
These day and age, you can kind of put 2 and 2 together and sometimes get 5. But yeah, you know, it's that time of year, guys, in this recruiting cycle, you know, whatever we have right now with big recruiting weekends and visits and things like that, and how coaches and players work the social media game. But you know, based on what players have gone on and said on social media, it's been a good couple of days for UCF. You know, nothing's official. As you guys know, now the second stage of recruiting begins. You get players that sometimes commit, and now you've got the work to do to, you know, keep them happy for the next 5 to 6 months. And, you know, that's part of this challenging recruiting cycle. But I think what, you know, Gus has had is a really good start to building a tremendous class. He comes off of having the best class in UCF history, recruiting a different caliber of player. He's had a couple of really big weekends of getting some of the nation's best players in, not just in Florida, but outside the state, and is selling a vision that he's got for UCF. And, you know, it seems to be appealing to a number of players that have decided they don't want to wait and want to declare themselves knights.
Mark, we were just talking to Joseph Duarte, who covers Houston, about just a little bit of the buzz that's building up with them right now. And I know we've asked you previously, like, what's the mood like? What's the environment like? Well, now here we are, and, like, Media Days is a month away. And UCF's going to be there as a full representative with, you know, players and Coach Malzahn in tow and all of that. So what does it kind of feel like knowing that there's still a little bit of a wait left? Is there a spike in season tickets? Is there, you know, a different level of anticipation, or does it kind of seem business as usual for the Knights right now?
Well, there's no question level of excitement as far as spike in season tickets. UCF sold its stadium out last year, so that's not going to change for the upcoming season. We're just about sold out. Maybe literally a couple dozen tickets left. The one thing that's a significant change, and it's a compliment, and we do that in the Big 12, is now all of the visiting team seats are going to be sold. In the past, in the American, we just didn't sell many tickets to visiting teams. That's not the case with our Big 12 schedule. But our stadium, you know, was sold out last year. It'll be sold out this year. But there is a different level of excitement at UCF. We're doing some things to kind of help count down towards the season, a few different features online and through our social media content, and just the other buzz. And you know, guys, now when UCF fans look up in preseason magazines or check online, it's a different vibe because of who you're compared with. And I mean, I even commented today on my show, you know, filling out a preseason ballot as well as all conference teams. It's new for me, you know, from a standpoint of learning different players in what is now UCF's league. So I think all those things have added to the layer of excitement for UCF, and you can kind of sense it. It's as you guys said, it's that mid-June, that little bit of a vibe as we head towards July and media days. But there's no question that you can feel it's just different. You know, the fact that you're in a new league and new opponents and different expectations and how you stack up, it's just different than it's been the last several years in a different league.
Mark, do you see or have you reflected back on how they got to this point? Is that something that is a part of the countdown to July the 1st, or at least since the fall of 21 when all this became, well, you're going to be a part of the UCF was going to be a part of the Big 12 and a Power 5 conference?
Yeah, we just on Friday, I wrote a column. It's one of 12 for 12 pieces that we're doing as a countdown. And my piece and our content team did an amazing job. I just wrote the column, but it was about what the on-campus stadium has meant to UCF. And so a lot of those things are pointing to what are some of the key moments about it? And I do think that when UCF opened its stadium in 2007, and the only school to open both the football stadium and basketball arena in the same year, it was a game changer. A game changer because it gave UCF fans a true on-campus game day experience. It brought people on campus that had not been coming to campus. It connected alums and friends and family that today still sit by each other, 16 years later. It brought in big-time opponents and gave UCF a unique home field advantage that's different. And as we often say, we may not be the biggest stadium and have the same bells and whistles, but we've created a personality, and it kind of is who we are. But, you point back, and guys, we've talked about it before. No one can deny that, the back-to-back undefeated seasons in 2017 and 18 played a significant role. I said the 41 wins over 4 seasons of 2017, 18, 19, and 20 were significant because the timing worked. UCF was on the radar the last time the Big 12 had talked about expansion. The conference chose to not expand. And, we've not denied it. The minute that Oklahoma and Texas made a move and the Big 12 decided to go and expand deeper in conversations and do it, UCF's body of work was better than it was the first time and laid the foundation, I think, for what became where we are today. But I think UCF fans look back and they know the value of what 2017 and 18 was, and to create a brand and be a little bit different. We're going into a league. We're still we're the youngest school in the Big 12. We're the youngest Power 5 school in the country. So we're a little bit different. Schools have 150, 200 years head start in different traditions. We've created our own traditions, and we're able to do a few things different. I've said this about Gus Malzahn. Gus has come to UCF and has embraced the benefit of social media, where he's able to do things that he didn't have to do at Auburn because of the decades of traditions that they had here. So that's what makes UCF unique, and that makes it a little bit different level of excitement for where they're going.
I don't know why I pulled this up, Mark, but talking about just the difference in history, the first bowl game, 2005, correct?
Is that Dante Culpepper?
Yes, the Hawaii Bowl.
Yes, but then...
No.
He's okay.
2005 was Kevin Smith was there and played a great bowl game against Nevada, lost on a missed extra point.
But then a few years later, a win over Georgia, which you look back on that now is pretty incredible. The Baylor win followed that a couple years later. Auburn a few years after that. So, 2005 to play your first bowl game, I think that kind of puts it in perspective for people of just how youthful this program is compared to, basically everybody that they come across.
Yeah, I'm going into my 29th year, and that's a long time. But you talk about the infancy of the football program. When I started in 1995, UCF was still a 1AA program. And guys, you know how this business works. To be less than 30 years to make the jump of 1AA, independent, member of the MAC, CUSA, about an hour and a half in the Big East that then became the American, and now, a decade later to get into the Big 12, it is a meteoric rise just because of the challenges that have existed in college sports for programs that have yearned to move up. As we've talked before, you can't pay your way up, and for the most part, you weren't able to win your way up. UCF was in the right place at the right time, where their success on the football field put them in a position to do that. But the journey of where the program was, and guys, you go back to the first Fiesta Bowl for UCF that went over Baylor. That year UCF won its bowl appeal. They were originally banned from playing in a bowl game for NCAA violations. UCF originally was not going to appeal, but George O'Leary went to then University President John Hinton, said it's worth it. We owe it to these kids. Everybody said you're never going to win against the NCAA. You don't win bowl bans. And they challenged it, and they won. And I don't know where we are today. UCF still may be in the same place. But if they don't win that bowl appeal that year, then there is no Fiesta Bowl, first one over Baylor. And for UCF, it was such a significant win because a national stage to win in a bowl game like that it helped develop the brand back then. Then a different level after the 2017 season. But as people point, say 17, the undefeated year was so important, I would tell people it was, but so was winning the bowl ban in the only year that UCF had a chance in the then BCS to get that bowl bid. And that year, they won at Penn State. They beat Teddy Bridgewater in a top 10 game against Louisville, and then won the conference outright, and then went to the Fiesta Bowl and beat Baylor.
And I'll never forget that Fiesta Bowl because Baylor had just won their conference title. They were rolling. Mm-hmm. That was during a stretch and they walk into that game, and Bortles and UCF, and I remember looking at the athletes, they were really good. I mean, that was impressive. They pretty much dictated that from start to finish. From that moment, I remember covering that game at the Fiesta Bowl. So when you look at UCF quarterback with Plumlee coming back and the tremendous athlete that he is, obviously seems to have great leadership skills. Could you have wanted anything better with him coming in this year with the Big 12 and him at quarterback?
Well, I'm a big John Rice Plumlee fan. I think he's going to be better for just some basic reasons. It's another year playing the position. I don't think people understood that you play it the way that he played at high school when he got to Ole Miss, and they moved him to wide receiver, and you don't just flip the switch a couple of years later. You get back to playing quarterback, and then even though UCF utilized his running ability, he was asked to throw the ball far more than when he was Ole Miss before Lane Kiffin got there. And then he got dinged up, a couple times last year. And even though he was busy playing baseball, I think that he has really taken to a new offensive coordinator, Darren Henshaw. They've clicked, and I think you're going to see a much better quarterback. And he didn't have a bad year at all last season, a good year. But I think a healthier guy, more experience playing the position, a true off season of working with receivers, and I think he's going to be even better. They will continue to use him as a run threat, but I think you're going to see a more efficient passer with a few tweaks to the offense that UCF has. And you guys know this. A quarterback is just so good. He'll make plays to win games. He can also lose games for you. But you got to have protection, and you got to have weapons. And for UCF, they better for where they're going against the quality defenses that they'll play. They've got a kind of a remade offensive line like a lot of teams face with the portal impacting, and UCF brought in a number of offensive linemen. I think they're better at offensive line than they were last year. There's no shortage of running backs. So there's plenty of Florida speed that's there, a talented group of wide receivers. So he'll have the weapons to help him be better, and I think you'll see another step for him. He's going to step into a different level of competition, but I think he's in a better place to have success than where he was last year, which was still relatively inexperienced as a college quarterback.
Mark, you mentioned at the beginning just some of the differences now. For example, taking a look at the preseason poll, and it's funny timing because I happened to look at the Big 12s last night and started just fill it out a little bit, and I'm going to go back and look at it probably a couple more times and do a little bit of research. But I got probably 3/4 of the way through, and I went, oh, gosh, I forgot 4 schools. And they're playing, I got to remember, like Cincinnati and BYU. And so I had to go back. But for somebody who covers them and knows them like a blanket, we know about John Rice Plumlee, obviously. But who are a couple of guys that you think are all conference level potential types of players that you think people should know the names of heading in?
Jason Johnson, UCF's linebacker, is a great story. He's a 1AA FCS linebacker a couple of years ago. You add, okay, let's see what happens. And just the classic case of a guy that just makes tackles. Doesn't talk much, but you look up and go, oh, he's got 14 tackles. Oh, he made this tackle for a loss. Definitely somebody that I think could play at that level. Trayvon Morris-Brash, a defensive end for UCF. He's a bit undersized, but sneaky quick. And I think he's set for a big year if he stays healthy as well. I think for UCF, outside of John Rice Plumlee, Javon Baker, wide receiver, Alabama transfer, such a big one-on-one guy that won so many plays of basically throw it up and can you go up and make plays. Acrobatic, very smart, knows where to be to run routes. I think Javon is set for a really big year as well for UCF. Lakai Pule is an offensive lineman. It's been at UCF from Hawaii. Very solid guy, versatile. He's another name there. So there's some guys there. There's some other players that came in via the transfer portal. It's funny you talked about putting that ballot together. I was the same way, not so much forgetting the teams because I saw the guys at Cincinnati and Houston. For me, getting familiar with some of the interior linemen in the Big 12 that you don't typically follow when you're watching the game on TV. But the other thing is I'm sure you looked at is with all the transfers now, you got to make sure, okay, who transferred in and where they come from? Oh, wait a minute, that guy was really good. He was all conference, when he was there. And I think the league, has a few of those, as every league does, trying to upgrade. So I try to not forget some of those guys that are also stepping into the Big 12.
The newcomer of the year is like a 200-person list because you've got recruits and you've got transfers. So, yeah, that definitely spices up that award for sure.
Mark, it is, absolutely. Yeah.
Mark, your thoughts about the fan base. I remember when the story started to percolate back in the fall or even late summer of 2021 after Texas OU SEC. And I made the mistake. of saying the blank nights, not in a cuss word, but yeah. And my God, my, and I mean, like I had to like run to some kind of a missile launch area in Wyoming. But I mean, it is, and I mean that it was fun for a while, and it went on for a long time. But how passionate are these fans? One, they already were passionate, and now a chance for this national stage. What is this going to be like? How people understand what they're getting into with UCF fan base and alums?
Well, first, I got your back. Next time something that happens, I will stand in front and protect you, okay? So I got you on that. I say this as a compliment to our fan base. My guess is we quickly will become one of the most hated fan bases in the league because of how they attack people on Twitter, whether it's a mistake over a name or anything like that. But, you know, again, guys, I think our youth is an advantage for what UCF is. You know, again, we're going into a league that you know better than me, where programs have played football for more than 100 years and universities have existed, some for almost 200 years. So, again, we do things a little bit different. And like in Texas, Florida loves their football. But UCF fans are very protective of the brand, of saying the right name, of defending the size and the sound and the challenge of playing in their stadium. And I think that's fantastic. Just like I look forward to going to some stadium venues that I've not been a part of. And the same deal when teams come to our place. And again, I look forward to that. We played so many games in the American and previous conferences where you look over that visiting section and there's 50 people there, maybe 200. Now I look forward to go, whoa, that's Baylor Green, or that's, you know, Texas Tech Red and everything. But UCF fans are proud of their passion. I'm sure that we look forward, they do, at least the UCF Twitter mafia, for some fun engagement that's within reason on social media, as long as it's all in good fun. But guys, that's part of what college football is about. And I think the fan base looks forward to a new group of fans to kind of go back and forth with and to visit some new cities that they haven't been to before. So yes, there's that level of excitement. And I think people have fun with our fan base, and hopefully they don't take everything so serious.
Will you be at Big 12 Media Days? I hope so, right?
I shall be there. I will be there. Absolutely look forward to it. I may look to guys like you to tell me where to go here, there, and there. So I will be there.
We'll be there. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate your time. Can't wait to see you, meet you. Mark Daniels, voice of UCF Athletics. And you can get – and that story about the fan base, they are – like it's fire ant. You step in a fire ant bed, and you might as well just take the bites. It's coming, and just hope time eventually wears itself out.
Yeah, I've already seen them crowned by some as the new most annoying fan base in the Big 12. You know, they've already ruffled some feathers, and I've seen some that have like, welcome, you're our people, and, you know, you're going to fit right in. So they've already made their mark one way or the other for some, and I'm sure, you know, depending on what happens over this next year, that'll certainly be the case, even more widespread. But yeah, they're gonna ruffle some feathers, you know, in good ways and bad ways, I'm sure. And that's part of, you know, establishing new rivalries and fun, and these new matchups and new teams to learn. And, you know, as Mark's talking about there earlier, and I've referenced, and Joseph kind of talked about too, like getting to learn all these new people and just, you know, who's who and what's what. And that's why I ask, because I'm not asking for a cheat sheet on my all Big 12 team's got 4 spots on it, and I don't think that UCF's going to make a difference in that, because I think I've got their reps already. But I do think it's a good opportunity just for everybody to kind of learn, you know, some of the names of the stars, because when you hear about UCF, you always hear about John Rice Plumlee. That might be the only guy you really hear about. And in the transfer era, it's even harder to figure out, exactly where is everybody and who's still where. And I'm telling you, that newcomer of the year, like – I mean, they probably need to say, like, comes from high school or something, or from JUCO or high school down, rather than.
I would think that that would not be a bad idea. And
but
Jody
Dylan Gabriel was
it
last year from UCF.
Yeah, and damn it, I did not ask the question about them playing Oklahoma.
Well, they'll play, and we can get that out there next time.
Yeah, that's right.
You might want to make a mental note, because I'm sure we'll probably talk to Mark at Media Days or something.
I do think newcomer of the year almost needs to be split into the incoming high school players, and also those who have transferred who are already college players or student athletes. Because I just looked at I haven't voted. I have to get myself focused on this. I have no damn idea how I'm going to vote. Well, I don't have a clue.
I got to figure out if
mine's not normal.
Mine's valid or not, because technically the player who I voted for it is not new per se, but he didn't play last year. It's Isaiah Nayor at Texas.
Oh, I think that would be newcomer of the year.
I think so too. Grayson made me doubt myself, though. He's like, "Are you sure?" Because he got there last year. I'm like, "Yeah, but he didn't play." So
it's almost like a rookie who you have to play a certain amount of games before you're even up. I would say, in my opinion, that's a great pick.
Well, that's what I'm going with. And if they turn it, they send it back to me, then I'll come up with somebody else.
What about Mitchell?
A.D. Mitchell at Texas. I mean, yeah, he could very well be somebody's, and I feel like that's fair, and that really made me kind of sit there and think about it for a second, is which guy is going to be the bigger, more impactful receiver for Texas, and it might be Mitchell, but I just love Isaiah Nayor after watching what he did a couple years prior to moving to Austin for Wyoming. He was electric for them, so I've kind of had a little bit of a sports fondness. I won't call it a crush, but a sports fondness for him because he's a Texas guy originally. And so I'm like, yeah, he's coming back from injury. That could make you a little bit too, because A.D. Mitchell's not coming in, I don't think, with any health issues like Nayor's coming off of. But yeah, that's who I'm rolling with, and I could always change it. I got a month to go, but that was my initial thought. But it does make newcomer a lot more of a race than you think it would, that transfer portal.
When we come back, a couple of notes. I'm not sure if you heard the news about one of the all-time longest-running shows on television and also a host of that show retiring. May get that into a sports-type way. Who would you consider in sports, it doesn't matter what sport or a coach or player, who would you want to replace Pat Sajak with Wheel of Fortune? We'll come back with that, and Mac Rhodes joins us in about 15 minutes. This is 365 Sports. Pioneer Steel and Pipe. Brand new location opened up back in December on Loop 340, and it's also Highway 6 on the eastern side of I-35. They are bigger, better, faster, and stronger. And, oh, by the way, they were damn good at what they did even before the new building. But now, because of it, they have even more product, more pieces, more of what you need. And then also with what they've always had, pipe, steel, metal, whatever, they have different lengths, sizes, so that if you buy something from the location where they were before, you still might yourself or have somebody else cut it to the length you need. Now they've got numerous sizes of pipe, steel, metal, tubing, and what you might be looking for. Of course, it's heavy-duty material, big-time stuff, bulky stuff. You'll have to get it delivered. Well, if you want to get it delivered, they'll do that, even help you unload it. That is also an option, or you could do it yourself. The Pioneer boys are 1943. Think about just the durability, sustainability, and the success. And now, with their brand-new location, pioneerboys.com.
The future's bright, the time is now.
College is what you make it. It's a late night pizza run and all-nighters coding a new project. It's having big dreams and making them a reality. It's a professor who knows your name and your story. It's preparation for your future, your calling, your life. And at Baylor, it's even more. Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Petty Clinic Men's Healthcare in Woodway is now proud to offer you men an exceptional weight management body sculpting product called semaglutide, also known as Ozempic or Wegovy. Semaglutide is an FDA-approved weight management medication. Once-a-week injections of this powerful medication offers an average body fat weight loss of 20% within the first year of treatment. In addition to body sculpting, semaglutide also normalizes blood sugars and has the clinical research proof of reducing blood pressure, cholesterol, stroke, and heart attack risk. If you're like most men and you have stubborn fat that will just not respond to typical diets and exercise, then help is finally here. Semaglutide, affordable, highly effective. Google search Petty Clinic Waco and reach out to the Petty Clinic team today for a free consultation with Dr. Petty to see if semaglutide is right for you. Go to pettycliniclowt.com.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at AllianceBankTexas.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak and Craig Smoak.
Paul Catalina getting married tomorrow. He'll be back in a couple of weeks. I think it's June 26th or 7th. He'll be back here in studio with us, so good luck with him in Hawaii, he and Amanda. We'll have Mac Rhodes in a moment. So this is Pat Sajak. I mean, this guy is, you talk about a dog. I mean, this guy's got all of it. He's going to retire after this is their 41st year, which begins in September, my last. There's Vanna White with her response, 41 years later. And so Wheel of Fortune's about to make a change with who is the host who's been there for 4+ decades. So I asked on the chat room, it's just a short segment here, then Mac Rhodes, who would you suggest play as a sports personality or whoever? Who would you want? Ernie Johnson. Shaq.
Let's see, Ernie Johnson. Shaq's good, but and I know my voice isn't always clear enough for people or energetic enough or whatever, but Shaq, I have to lean in to hear what he's saying sometimes.
It's a deep, hollow voice.
It's so deep, and he's putting so little effort.
Yeah.
It's like, what? Yeah. What are you trying to say? It's just so deep and muffled. So yeah, he would need to change that tone up a little bit, but he's a fun guy. I think Ernie Johnson makes a lot of sense. I think he'd be great.
He's a little bit busy at times. But Gilbert Godfrey is one.
Oh God.
How about
Affleck,
Tom Brady, or Tony Romo? Jim Nance. Nance is actually calming down his schedule with no more NCAA tournament. Lee Trevino would be great. PJ Fleck from Minnesota. Let's see here. My God, somebody I thought they said Gilbert Godfrey. Charles Barkley.
You just did, didn't you?
Gilbert Gottfried, not Godfrey. What was the name I mentioned?
You just said Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah, Gilbert Gottfried.
No, they were saying that it was another Gilbert. It's a former personality. Ernie Johnson. Kevin Harlan is one. Larry the Cable Guy
could be Coach
is
O.
one.
Coach O.
Coach Orgeron.
Coach O.
Yeah.
You have to repeat those clues a few times.
Michael
Questions.
K19C fan. I remember when Sajak tried to host a late night show that crashed and burned. there are things you're really good at, and there's nothing wrong with trying to branch out and try, but you're also there are some that have tried to go do their own thing, been on a great network, tried to do it somewhere else, and just did not work out.
Yeah, I didn't know that he did late night at all, or attempted to. I will say that by failing, he pretty much has more of the late night hosts on his side than not on his side, because the list of the failures late night are much longer than the ones who have been great over the long haul. So yeah, he's not alone in that regard. But that's something I learned today. I had no idea that he was a late night host at one point.
Bill Murray.
He's not as much of America's beloved figure at this point. I feel like here as of late, there's been some stories about his. I love Bill Murray, and there's like a nostalgia factor there, and I think he's a great actor and comedian and all that. But yeah, I think he's probably not interested, and I don't know. There'd probably be some pushback for that one.
Who's the one? And he is he's fantastic. He's funny. He does oh my God, I can't remember. It's not Price. Is it Price? Not Price is Right. He does a lot of the shows now at night.
Like Steve Harvey?
Yes. Steve Harvey is genius.
Yeah, he's good.
He's got enough on his plate. I just was wondering about him. He is phenomenal what he's done. But he's busy and probably a competitive. I don't even know what network that would be on. But I can't think of anybody else. Anybody else come to mind? But
Michael Strahan. Michael Strahan would be a natural transition.
And of course, he is a rock star. And when he was voted into the Texas Sports Hall of Fame, it took forever for them to match the schedule with his schedule. And he came in, and he wasn't at the press conference, but neither was Adrian Peterson. But he was there for the banquet, and then he spoke first after he was introduced and then left. Well, I can't even imagine how many different ways he's being pulled in one direction as a network star, Hall of Fame football player, and then also remember what he does on Fox Sports when it comes to football on Sunday. So
I don't think it'd be Wheel of Fortune, but, I mean, you could pretty much pencil in McAfee for all sorts of different gigs.
Yeah.
I feel like game show host, not Wheel of Fortune necessarily, but like some type of game show, I could definitely see him hosting that, hosting something along those lines.
Keenan on Saturday Night Live. I don't watch Saturday Night
Thompson.
Live.
Yeah, I could see him.
Trevor Noah.
Travis Kelce would be fun.
Yeah, no, he would be fantastic.
That would be fun.
He's really, really got a great sense of humor. McAfee, of course, would be nuts. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, I think he's kind of pretty much set with what he does. We got to stop
so we can settle on some of these names. But Keenan Thompson, I think he'd be interesting as a game show host, and playing off of him doing as a character and actually go and do it. He'd probably be pretty funny. He's a super talented guy. Trevor Noah, I'm not sure what he's been up to outside of dating celebrities since he left Daily Show. So maybe, I could possibly see that one. The Rock, man.
I'm not saying he's too big for that role, but
no. You don't keep up with stuff as closely in some cases, so you're not even aware of the fact that his star is not as bright as it has been right at the moment. He could probably here pretty soon use that gig, quite frankly. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He went from biggest movie, and I love The Rock, like at least from my wrestling days and watching him and all that. But he became superhero Hollywood guy, and then did every action movie imaginable and crammed it all into like a year and a half, to where I think a lot of people got Rock fatigue and realized, oh, wait, he's just The Rock in every single movie. And then once you realize that, it kind of takes the mystique away. His show just got canceled on NBC, Young Rock, which was about him growing up. His superhero days as Black Adam are already over after that flopped. So, yeah, The Rock's kind of in an interesting little – the XFL did not – make money. They lost a lot of money. I'll get to that and off the radar, but yeah, he'd be great at it.
All right.
Yeah.
Rob Gronkowski.
Yeah, I could see Rob Gronkowski doing a talk show. Not talk show, but a game show.
J.J. Watt, who's now officially retired. I could see him becoming someone who is there involved in that. Let's take a break and come back with Mack Rhodes, Baylor Director of Athletics. Thank you very much for all of those opinions and feedback on the chat room, or in the chat room. This is 365 Sports. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it. Online, you can find several specials. So, by the way, they have the cauliflower crust. I actually bought some tortillas the other day to have fajitas, and I bought the cauliflower tortillas, and I was wondering, is it going to be just bland or dry? It was good. Plus, it's healthy, and they have cauliflower crust at Marco's Pizza. Marco's Pizza, Marco's Pizza. Of course, pizza lovers get it. Also, go to marcos.com for other specials from pepperoni magnifico, sausage magnifico, the combination of the two magnifico, and of course you can get whatever crust you want. I like thin crust, that's me, but you can get what you want. And salads, sandwiches, wings, drinks, you name it, they have it. 5 locations in the Waco area. Bob Mock built it from when there were none. He's been in the pizza business for many years, learned every piece of whatever you need to own one, and now he has 5 in Waco: Belmead, China Spring, Hewitt, Woodway, and Robinson. Marco's Pizza. Pizza lovers get it.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Aaron Duvall, owner, Texas Beef House. Why did you get into this business?
We kind of were born into it, and it's been for several generations. Our family's been in the beef business, the ranching business, and we've specifically got into the beef business back in about 2015 when me and my son decided to form Texas Beef House and sell directly to the public.
Aaron, everyone knows about Wagyu and how elite that is when it comes to beef. What separates you from anyone else that may do this in this type profession?
We selected out Wagyu mainly because it's such a quality beef, and it's consistent. Some beef, some breeds, you may have a good animal every now and then, but Wagyu produces really consistently good beef every time.
Where is the best beef in Texas? Your house. When you order from Texas Beef House, unleash the flavor of Texas raised Wagyu. From our pasture to your plate, TexasBeefHouse.com.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street, right behind the bank, is a hidden gem in Waco. If you're a fan of bourbon, especially local Texas bourbons, that's where you gotta go. Balcones, TX, Devil's River, whatever it is, they've got it. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, plus the best selection of craft beers in Waco, seasonally churned out throughout the year. Whether it's spring, summer, fall, or winter, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, best selection of craft beers, a speedy drive-through window, and excellent customer service. Find out more on Instagram or just go by and see them. Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street behind the bank.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive is premier, elite, life-changing experience where you can change your mind, body, and soul. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers over 40 group exercise classes each week, including boot camp, indoor cycling, and more. If you haven't been there in quite some time, you're missing out on the improvements for our members. New flooring in the weight room and locker rooms, new paint and mirrors added in the weight room and group exercise room, with more new machines arriving over the next few months. New free weights, weight machines, TRX, rowing machines, stationary bikes, new treadmills, new elliptical machines on spacious weight room floor. Personal training with Christy London, Randall Corley, and Alex Botch, where you will be encouraged and motivated to grow. There's sauna, whirlpool, tanning bed, and kids club. The amenities are great. 16 tennis courts plus an 1,100-seat stadium court, 8 pickleball courts, youth and adult tennis and pickleball lessons. Visit our website, wacotennis.com, or visit Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
This is 365 Sports. Text us at 254-339-1122. The text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhodes, with us. Craig Smoak, David Smoak. Paul is out. He's in Hawaii, going to get married tomorrow, and then a honeymoon. He'll be back. I don't know if you will come back, if you get to visit and stay in Hawaii for a couple of different weeks. Mack Rhodes joins us on 365 Sports. So I did not ask you this last week, and it's about your staff. You've added senior pieces or senior administrators. You've continued to kind of add. I think there was a while there where you weren't quite, not that you weren't up to par, but there were some openings. Do you feel pretty good about where you are now with your staff?
Yeah, I do now. And, we were intentional to take some time and really breathe and, certainly meet with our head coaches and sport program administrators and others, just trying to get a best feel for, where are we missing, or where can we be better? How can we take things to a next level? The executive team, and, I truly believe this, the current executive team, I'm blessed with, the best in the country, but everybody's plate is overflowing. And so, obviously landed in a good place, and adding, Callie, who's been here before. For those that know her, she's a force of nature, and has got such a great skill set in terms of, working with people, collaboration, pushing people. I really, really enjoyed working with her when she was here previously. When I arrived, she was in that, human resource and assistant to the AD role, and we promoted her to chief of staff. But she's going to be a great addition, both in terms of the athletics department, but also across campus. She's highly regarded. And then Juliana from Colgate, she's one of those just rising stars in our industry. If you have a conversation about future leaders in our industry and who to keep an eye on, she is always, just consistently mentioned. And what I appreciated most about Juliana is that she really feels called to be at Baylor, and really reached out about 2 years ago, introducing herself and talking about this calling and really wanting to work for Baylor. And it finally worked out, and she's going to oversee our spiritual growth pillar. And I think we've made really good progress there, but I think we can be much more, much better, go much deeper when we think about how we serve our student athletes, but also our staff, and how we challenge everyone to grow. And certainly her expertise in the diversity, equity, and inclusion space, and that's an area that we've had this conversation in the past on this show, but we're wanting to continue to grow and evolve. So just feel really, really blessed that both are joining our team.
Mac, I was reading an article, I think it was in light of Jack Swarbrick announcing his retirement. It was kind of pointing to kind of an end of an era of, certain athletic directors and whatnot. And we've heard you speak to just the craziness surrounding the profession these days. I'd imagine there's probably lots of conversations between athletic directors about just where are we going, where are we headed, what's this going to be like. But have you seen that effect trickle down in terms of interest, in terms of up-and-coming people like you just mentioned wanting to be athletic directors? Have you seen any sort of an impact based on just all the craziness affecting the profession, so to speak?
Yeah, no, Craig, I think that's a great question, really insightful question. Yeah, I wouldn't go, print this on the front page of the newspaper because I'm not sure, that that I've got great data to back it up, but it seems and feels like that people are more measured about whether or not they want to sit in this chair because of all of the things that are going on right now as we speak in the industry, and so I think that's been, at least for me, at least that's my opinion, interesting to see. Now, there are certainly those that hey, it's been my dream to be an athletic director, and I still want to do that. But I think more than ever before, I think people are really thinking a lot about one, do we want to be in this profession, just given the chaos and it's a grind and all of the hours, and I think you're seeing, I think coming out of COVID with all of the NCAA transformation, name, image, and likeness, transfer portal, I think you're seeing people really thinking twice about whether or not this profession is right for them, and then do I want to sit in the athletics chair. And so just been interesting to kind of follow and see, and I would say as an athletic director right now, you better be an adaptive leader, and because you can't stay stagnant as a leader in this industry right now. You better push yourself. You better make sure that you're moving and you're growing, and you can be adaptive, and you can do all of those things without compromising your core values.
Mac,
so a lot going on.
Yeah, no, there is. Have you ever has the conference itself, whenever you meet whoever's meeting about the future, has there ever been discussion about a deadline for anyone who wants to join the Big 12? You're entering now this summertime, and has that even been discussed that, okay, we have to focus in, or is that just going to be an open-ending book?
Yeah, I think, I appreciate the question, and, there's, at least I'm not aware of, that there's ever been a conversation or a deadline set for anyone when we think about conference membership. The reality is that at some point in time, the Pac-12, just given when their current TV deal ends, the Pac-12 is gonna have to cross that threshold in terms of what their deal is, and again, sound like a broken record, but nobody's sitting here and wishing for the demise of the Pac-12. Reality is, though, when that day comes, and it has to come, right? And there's all kinds of speculation on when it's coming, right? If you read things, it's coming by end of June, or more than likely, sometime this summer, end of summer, whenever that time is. And I do believe it's within this 60-day window. We're going to know, and we'll all know. And so, nobody has put a self-implied, deadline on any of this. And I think it behooves certainly the Big 12 to be patient and be ready if there is opportunity.
the conference itself is about to it's going to add 4 new teams officially July the 1st. We've had a couple of writers, analysts who have covered UCF and Houston today. We'll have the ADs of those 4 schools, which we've had on before, the last week in June. Do you feel like any of the talk about possible additions takes away anything at all? Have you heard that taking away anything at all from Cincinnati, Houston, UCF, or Brigham Young?
Yeah, I appreciate the question because it's something that, I think about. I think it's something that the conference has thought about. And I think, the answer is I hope not, because, we need to be celebrating those 4 institutions. And, when you think back, 18 months or 2 years ago, and we added those 4, and those clearly were the right 4 to add, and the 8 of us plus those 4 have provided great stability for this conference, and it's a conference that both ESPN and Fox really believed in. They didn't have to negotiate a new TV media deal with us, knowing that Oklahoma and Texas were leaving, and knowing we couldn't go out to the open market and have any competition. And both of those TV partners thought enough of the 12 of us, those 4 included, that we've got a future, we've got promise, and so certainly grateful to ESPN, grateful to Fox, and grateful to Commissioner Yormark leading us through that negotiation along with Endeavor. But yeah, they need to be celebrated, and we need to make sure that we're really, really intentional about that storyline and making them feel welcome. And I've said it on the show before. If we don't add any other institution and it remains the 12 for the unforeseeable future, I really believe we're in a great place. So I'm excited, for July 1 and those 4 to officially come on board. I'm glad that you've had an opportunity to speak to all 4 of those athletic directors. All 4 of them are friends, great individuals, and do a great job leading their respective programs.
Do you sense with the 12 teams, with Texas OU for one more year, but do you sense that that all 12 kind of are all on the same page as far as the unity, the future, and that there are no so-called like voting blocks, if that's the right term or phrase to use? Yeah, there is a healthy respect, a really healthy respect amongst the 12. I don't think anybody's sitting in a chair thinking that they're better than any of the other 11. I think there is a willingness to certainly think and contemplate, what's best for the 12 rather than what's best just for the one. And that's really hard to do, right? All of us, meaning athletic directors, we get paid. Our responsibility is to, look out for what is the best interest of your particular institution. But part of what's looking out for your best interest is also making sure that you're part of a conference that is thriving, that is continuing to grow and succeed, not just today, but into the future. And so I think there's great collaboration and unity right now, and I expect that to
to carry on for years to come.
Mac Rose, Baylor Director of Athletics, with us on 365 Sports. The total number of dollars you get from the TV and media rights deal, from whatever networks and then even the Tier 3, or whatever it is now with ESPN, what you call it, how much of that revenue that you get, whether it's the 31.7 or the 50, whatever the combination of other revenue, how much of that is a percentage of your athletic department budget?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, and I think I've said it before, but it's certainly our largest source of revenue. And so that's why, everybody is fixated on, the TV contracts and what do they mean? And then again, when you think about the total revenue distribution, it's certainly not just the TV, it's the largest portion of it, but it's also the CFP, it's also the men's basketball NCAA tournament, it's other bowl games and some ancillary revenues. But, I'd have to sit and really think about it, but I would tell you that it's, somewhere probably, right around 40%. When we think about our total operating budget, it's somewhere, probably between 35 and 40, 42%, somewhere in there.
Mac, I'm not sure how all the political side of things work, but there was House Bill 2804 that was passed in the Senate. Greg Abbott signed that this past Saturday, and it will become law here in a couple of weeks. Big picture, what does that mean for schools in the state of Texas? And even more big picture in particular for you, what does that mean exactly for Baylor athletics, if anything?
Yeah, that's a great question, Craig, and here's why. It's fascinating because Texas, I believe, is the third state to implement this type of amendment to its existing name, image, and likeness state law. Arkansas was the first. I think Missouri, then Texas. And then there may be one or more other states, and so it's a real contradiction. And I would just say that all the schools in the state of Texas need to tread lightly, because the amendment certainly makes, and this is a very simplistic explanation. But it provides a pathway, or it allows for quote unquote other entities to collect and distribute name, image, and likeness monies to student athletes, and so. I.e., what's been talked about. This isn't news, right? I.e., the 12th Man Foundation. It also goes on to say that Texas state law presides over NCAA and conference bylaws, regulations, and so. Other entities that are affiliated with institutions per the NCAA, that is not allowed. And so now we have this state law that is in conflict with the NCAA, and I would just say that, all of us are going to need to grapple with that. And it is my opinion that the NCAA is not going to waver, that they are going to hold institutions with these similar type type amendments, state laws regarding name, image, and likeness, that they are going to hold them accountable to the NCAA bylaws, regardless of what the state law allows an institution to do. So, for Baylor, and I'm not going to speak on behalf of any other institution in the state of Texas. We're gonna follow the NCAA laws. I don't want to get into a situation where all of a sudden, one of our sports programs is going to postseason, and now we're not allowed. And I'm not saying that's an absolute, but I could see that as a possibility. So we obviously have had a lot of conversation on this campus.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Livingstone, myself, our general counsel, Chris Holmes, others, and we're going to be very thoughtful, and we're not going to compromise our institution.
Mac, last thing. What's more difficult right now, being an athletic director in college athletics or being a commissioner?
I hate to answer that just because it's going to sound.
Do you want to be a commissioner one day?
Commissioners have a lot of things to deal with and handle in their different jobs. I'm not going to say that their commissioner roles jobs are easier. Not sure that they are, but I will just say that as an athletic director right now, if you're an FBS athletic director, you have your hands full.
Yep.
You do.
Thank you, Mac. Appreciate it. When you take vacation, will you let us know so we'll be ready for the breaking news alert?
I will. So be sure to do that. Appreciate you all, and God bless Paul and his fiance, and I hope the wedding goes well tomorrow.
It will. Thank you, Mac. Mac Rhodes, Baylor Director of Athletics, with us on 365 Sports. If you don't know the history that Mac, when he went on vacation, Texas OU head to the SEC, or at least the story broke. I believe there were one or two other times that when he took a break or tried to get away, there was a story that broke. Most of the time it was about everything else but Baylor, but there were probably a couple of different times, especially when he first arrived in 2016.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure what his vacation was like then. I don't know, maybe he snuck one in that first year right after media days when there's a little bit of a minor lull. People get in the rest of their vacation that remainder of July and early August before the season kicks off. But, yeah, he pretty much had to hit the ground running when he first got here, and it was a mess to walk into just from a PR standpoint, and then, media days and all of that. But I think he's found the following years to probably be a little more lax in that regard. But, yeah, it does seem like when he goes on vacation, then inevitably something breaks. I think correct me if I'm wrong there, but he said he feels like stuff pretty much has to wrap up here in the next couple of weeks.
Well,
correct?
He did. Like he said, the next 60-day window, which could be all the way through,
a couple of weeks, 60 days.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that seems to – makes sense. Kind of starts fading into the season there 60 days from now, which I guess we're maybe, a little outside of that. So that would line up just about right. And, good to know there's not a deadline per se, but there is that kind of a loose time frame of kind of need to know something. Mm-hmm. So, the only unfortunate part about that is that it's not 10 days instead of 60 so that we could kind of just know what's what and, have the arguments, about the next wave or chapter, whether that's right or wrong or whatever, rather than the one that we've continued to have. So there's some conclusion on the way. It's just a little bit more of a ways to wait, but it's certainly going to be spicy, I would imagine, until then, and good to hear from him as always.
When we come back, Craig's off the radar. We have a new NBA champion among some other stories that he teased earlier. Also today, just after 5, when off the radar, around 5:10, Chris Level, now that his phone is back up and running, he'll join us, who covers Texas Tech, broadcast voice for men's basketball and also in football as far as part of the color analyst job. So all of that is going to come up in the 5 o'clock hour, plus John McClain at around 5:45. This is 365 Sports. Stonewood Dental in Robinson, Texas. Stonewood Dental, it's very simple, stonewood-dental.com online. And if you go by the reviews and look at what people have said about Dr. Steve Childress and the staff, the dentist, the hygienist, and even those who greet you when you walk through the front door, it is clockwork. I cannot explain how well that business is run. How much they actually, yes, they're a business. They're in the business of having teeth cleaning to anything from root canals and teeth pulled and crowns. But it is as efficient a business as I have ever witnessed. And it's amazing. And then they've done that with me and my dental work. I have an appointment coming up July the 6th. God knows what I'll have to have done. But I feel so much more comfortable. What was it, 2, 3, 4 weeks ago? I went in there because I bit down on a mint. And I could tell there was a piece of my tooth that never hurt. It never gave me that, but got that fixed. Probably going to have to go back in there and who knows, get a root canal, but that's okay because it's part of making sure I stay dental hygiene good, because for many years I did not. Dr. Steve Childress, Stonewood Dental in Robinson, Texas.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment, and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs, and veggie burgers too. Nachos and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses. But when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why we take the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott in Conroe at 936-756-7717. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Cars priced right both day and night. Average your car in Texas. Trucks built for you, red, white, and blue. Average your car in Texas. Cars that zoom with lots of room. Average your car in Texas. Count on us, a dealer to trust. Average your car in Waco, Texas.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let
Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
This is Craig Smoak's Off the Radar, presented by Alliance Bank. They take pride in making banking easy. AllianceBankTexas.com.
All right, welcome into Off the Radar here on 365 Sports. Tuesdays and Thursdays at around 4:45, give or take. Stop down and talk about a variety of different headlines from college sports, although typically try to do more pro here because we talk so much college, but that doesn't mean that things don't slip through that I still want to get around to or that we haven't touched on it previously, like the Directors' Cup, for example. Just wanted to follow back around and start off with that since you may not have joined us earlier on in the show, but the Directors' Cup for overall best top athletic program in the country, won by the Stanford Cardinal last night, thanks to their win over Texas, who they were competing with for that Directors' Cup and who had won the last two Directors' Cups. But with that win, the 2-year winning streak for UT is broken. Stanford back on top, and prior to those 2 wins by UT, these last 2 seasons, 25 straight for the Stanford Cardinal in the NACDA Directors' Cup. Can you name the only other team that has won a Directors' Cup? And it was the very first director. Okay, so
I do know this, but North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Which has a very stout overall athletic department in many ways.
Yeah, so the Directors' Cup's been around since 93, 94. North Carolina won it that inaugural year, and then every single year up until the last 2, 25 straight years, it was Stanford and then Texas, and now Stanford once again. But just some of the teams that have finished in the top 10, the most times outside of those 3 that have won it. Florida, I don't think that's much of a surprise.
Not at all.
UCLA, Michigan, USC, Ohio State, Penn State, Georgia, they've all had 10 or more top 10 rankings when all was said and done. And then Virginia, Cal, and Arizona have all had less than 10 appearances in the final top 10 rankings, but they've had more than a handful each, Virginia, Cal, and Arizona. So a lot of big brands. There's no small private school or anything like that in there. And what you'd about expect, especially with Stanford and Texas, North Carolina, Florida, all the Olympic sports and the ways that they, have successes there. So that was just interesting. I know that was something that was obviously on Longhorns fans' minds because I saw some of that in their misery last night following that game, which was totally understandable given how that ended and as we talked about earlier.
You think about the spring sports. Now, how many universities have all of these or some?
That's
golf,
the thing, yeah.
Men's and women's golf, men's and women's lacrosse, and not everybody does that. Women's rowing, softball, women's and men's tennis, men's and women's track and field, men's volleyball, women's WP. Beach volleyball is another one. So, you've got and that doesn't include what you do in the winter. That's just some of the stuff in the fall. But there's just some schools that just have a bunch of, and UT is very fortunate because they have a huge water polo, of course. And Stanford got 100 points for water polo, 90 for Georgia. But yeah, it's very in depth. It's like a spider web of so many sports.
Yeah, and a lot of those that you just mentioned, like was it swimming and diving, for example? I think Texas competes with
They're
3 schools
really
in the
good,
Big 12,
yeah.
but they're really, really good. Don't get me wrong, but it's a different makeup. It's not, in wrestling, for example, the Big 12's got
Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Iowa State.
No, I'm talking about the other teams that are brought in for wrestling.
Oh,
that
yeah,
are,
from outside
like
the
Denver
conference.
and North Dakota and stuff. They compete all over. So yeah, not everybody has everything. So it's not an exact comparison. But hats off to Stanford, and that was also notable because now the College World Series field is set, and that will get underway here at the end of the week. And I was thinking tonight. I don't know what all may be on, in the periphery. I don't know the WNBA schedule. I don't know, that kind of stuff. I'll get to what one big game is on tonight. But outside of that, folks, we are in baseball season. We are very much in baseball season now, as I'll get to in a moment. But college baseball field set. You'll have Oral Roberts and TCU, which ought to be a very interesting matchup. That'll kick the festivities off on Friday. Also have couple of top 10 teams in Virginia and Florida that will meet up to kick off things on Friday as well. So those 2 games will be on Friday. Then on Saturday, game number 1 between Stanford and Wake Forest. Stanford number 8, Wake Forest the number 1 team in the country, and then Tennessee against number 5 LSU. Talk about programs who have had a pretty good year. That's one you got to mention as well.
Tennessee football was good until the injury, right?
I'm talking about LSU.
Basketball. Oh, I was talking about Tennessee basketball.
Okay, yeah.
And then also this. But LSU's had themselves a run plus the national title in women's basketball.
Yeah, so there is your field. Oral Roberts, TCU, Virginia, Florida, Stanford, Wake Forest, Tennessee versus LSU. How you feeling about LSU and Tennessee opening things up?
I like it. I think this is one where Tennessee will probably win 1 game, but I think LSU will get them. And then I'm a little nervous about it. If I feel like they're going to get Wake, and I'm not 100% confident about that matchup.
Yeah, it all depends. You get your loser versus winner, and your
really good.
Yeah, they are. They're very good. So we go from our best out of 3 super regionals now to win your first game, and you move on and you play the winner of the game, winner game 1, winner game 2, loser game 1, loser game 2, double elimination style like that. So it'll make for some fun matchups, and we got that finally set last night. Really made way for baseball season. Later on tonight will certainly make way for baseball season, but last night did have the finals of the NBA regular season as the Denver Nuggets became your world champions, led by Nikola Jokic, who won MVP overall honors. Only took 5 games for Denver to finish off Miami. Miami was able to jump up and grab that game 2, and you thought, oh, man, how interesting are they going to make this? Well, there were some fun contests, but in the end, Denver was clearly the better team. Jokic and surrounding cast, clearly just a better, stronger, faster, more talented, better. I mean, just in general, they were the better team. I don't think anybody's denying that coming off of last night. I will say, I found it very disappointing, Jimmy Butler's performance at the end of that game. He just kind of, just kind of.
He scored, 8 points, missed a 3 badly, had a terrible pass
terrible
in a moment
shot.
where they.
Yeah.
But, man, I just wonder if
He just seemed a little out of control for the moment. For a guy who seems so in control all the time and who is the lead guy for that franchise, he had a couple moments there at the very end when it's still not quite over. And, yeah, he jacks up an awful shot. Now, granted, maybe he makes those, and so who else are you going to put the ball in whose hands? But, he just had a couple of really bad moments there at the end. In the postgame, he was asked, what is something that sticks out to you? He's like, my turnover.
Yeah.
The turnover that helped end the game.
He scored 21, but he was held. He had most of it from the free throw line. But you're right. It was a bad deal. Jimmy Butler carried them on his back. Not that others did as well, but I just wonder if he just ran out of the emotional gas. Because Denver was really good. Good for the Denver damn Nuggets, by the way.
Denver Nuggets, your world champions.
I think of David Thompson, Dan Issel, some throwback names when I think about Denver. Now you could think about Jokic because of what he's done.
And Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. and, a cast of other guys as well. Aaron Gordon. Jokic and Murray together are a fantastic pair. I think it was kind of unfortunate because immediately after it's over, they win, and then it's and we're going to be back next year. And, the head coach is sitting there firing up the troops, and I'm like, just enjoy it, man. You just got done. And I know that's the sports thing to do, or the American thing to do, is move on to the next thing, but it's you just won the very first NBA title, And you're already setting people up because then immediately all the conversation, like the beat reporters, I understand, are doing their jobs and they're on to the next thing, but they're asking questions about next year, and it's like they just won this bad boy. So it was made note of last night that was their first NBA title, and I saw some grouchy older folks, or just historians, if you will. They were like, well, what about, the ABA, or what about why don't those count the same? But as far as a pure NBA title, that was the first for the Denver Nuggets. So they are out of that no titles club, and now there are still a few teams that are remaining. The Indiana Pacers have not won an NBA title. The New Orleans Pelicans.
The Reggie Miller years, of course, that was during mostly Jordan.
Yep,
okay.
Ran up against Jordan, ran up against some other teams as well.
Pelicans are actually the Charlotte Hornets, who had Larry Johnson at one point. But
the Charlotte Hornets are also the Charlotte Hornets now as well.
Yeah.
But the Pelicans have not won one. The Brooklyn Nets have not won an NBA
title. Well, that's got
to
sting when you've had Durant and Kyrie among some others. Yeah.
The Orlando Magic. They, of course, with Penny and Shaq, had some opportunities, but they were unfortunately in an Eastern Conference with Jordan and the Bulls and ran into them, and that was very memorable. But they have not won a franchise, or they have not won a world title. So Pacers, Pelicans, Nets, and Magic.
Magic had Shaq and Penny. You're right, and they almost won early, but who'd they lose to in the finals? You say? I know they played maybe San Antonio one year. You remember? Not sure. I think it might have been the Spurs back when they had David.
It was the Rockets.
Yeah.
The Rockets, okay.
Yeah, it was the Rockets in those back-to-back years. But I don't remember exactly what year and all of that. But, yeah, that was a good opportunity, but they never did win one. The Clippers have never won. The Jazz, the Hornets, the Suns. The Suns, the Grizzlies, the Thunder, and the T-Wolves. So that's like nearly half the league, it feels like, that I just rattled off there that has not won, and Denver was a part of that until last night.
The one that has to sting the most. Okay, name those last chunk of teams you mentioned. I know the Jazz and Phoenix, right?
Jazz, Hornets, Suns, Grizzlies, Thunder, Timberwolves.
If you are the Jazz and Suns, that has to be the most painful thing to be a part of, because
Jordan
Phoenix
again,
has numerous runs of that. And then, of course, the Jazz with Malone and Stockton, et cetera.
Yeah, I mean, they've had some opportunities here's of late, and going back to the 90s, and points in between and all around and whatnot. But those are the franchises that have not won NBA championships after the Nuggets were able to get off that list last night. Meanwhile, tonight, so you have college baseball is moving on to its final phase later on this week. Got MLB going on, of course, but NBA now over, and that leaves, as far as the pro sports goes, just MLB for the end of time, it feels like, here in the middle of baseball season, but also the Stanley Cup Finals, and that will potentially come to a close later on tonight. Game number 5, the Vegas Golden Knights. Unlike UCF, they are proud to be Golden Knights. But yes, Vegas up 3-1 and looking to close it out over the Florida Panthers. 7 p.m. start time for that one. Any kind of a feel for what we might see here in game number 5, Garrett?
I feel a blowout, man. Like Vegas, if you look at how they've handled every matchup in the playoffs, they've had a couple of blowouts, and I feel like they're due for one tonight. I think Matthew Tkachuk is probably I know he's a game-time decision. I wouldn't be surprised if he missed for Florida, and that would be devastating. But you also have an opportunity for the head coach, Bruce Cassidy, to win a Stanley Cup like 1 year to the date of being hired, and you're back on your home ice. So I think Vegas kind of blows them out, honestly.
Well, that'll be later on tonight on TNT and True TV, 7 p.m. Central. Again, Vegas just needs one win, up 3-1, and they will be Stanley Cup champions, and that'll be a big celebration, as I would imagine, in that city. And I guess I forgot a note when mentioning the NBA Finals, and I'll leave it here because we do have other guests coming up, but Stan Kroenke, man. I'm sure you've seen the tweets about, him being the Nuggets owner, also being the owner of the Rams, who won a Super Bowl 2 years ago, the owner of the Avalanche, who just won the most recent Stanley Cup Finals. An incredible run for Stan Kroenke with his franchises and just cleaning up the trophies. Had a very awkward post-game interview with Lisa Salters. I'm not sure if y'all saw that or not. It was very weird, where it was loud in the arena. So, it's understandable if you're kind of like having to lean into somebody, but he was like in Lisa Salter's ear, like he was at the bar hitting on her, and he clearly didn't realize how awkward it looked, But she's sitting there holding a microphone, and he's like talking in her ear right next to the microphone. It was just kind of funny and sort of strange, but he was probably very much in the moment, celebrating another title. But yeah, that's a pretty impressive run, what he's been able to do as an owner, now adding the NBA piece to that and the first title for Denver. So there's a few things off the radar.
Thank you, Craig. Good stuff. The NBA now goes to the draft. Hockey Stanley Cup, one of the great probably celebrations of a championship in all of sports. It's 5:08. When we come back, Chris Level, can't wait to hear about his cell phone tragedy. He's next to look back at the year of Texas Tech and the year ahead, and this is 365 Sports.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, they are the people that you can count on. They're the people that I've counted on at various times when it's come to my vehicle having issues or needing some repairs. I've had a couple accidents over the last year and a half, 2 years. Weren't my fault, fortunately, but still a pain in the backside and had to go get it fixed up. And Richard Carr was the place that I went to, and I couldn't be happier of the way that they were able to take care of me, able to keep me, notified of when my vehicle was going to be ready, how long it was going to potentially take, who was working on it, what they were doing. All those types of things made it a very easy process for what is usually a pretty stressful process. So I can vouch for their customer service. I can also vouch for their repair department. And you know what? When I'm finally in need of a new car, I will be looking at Richard Carr, and you can do that right now. They've got a lot of great deals going on as it's their 24th anniversary sales event, which means big savings on pre-owned cars and trucks. That includes vehicles like the GMC Sierra and the Buick Envision. They've got dozens of those Sierra trucks that are on the lot right now. You can save $3,000 on the Sierra SLT or the SLE 1500s. Qualified buyers can also get special 2.9% financing on 2023 Sierra. So just one of their offerings there. Maybe you're instead more of a SUV type of person. Well, you want the luxury without the luxurious price tag, then look no further than the 2023 Buicks. Whether it's the Encore, the Envision, or the Enclave, right now qualified buyers can get low financing, plus save $2,500 on Buick Enclave Premium, $3,500 on Buick Enclave Avenir. And if that's still a little bit too much for you, or you're not exactly trying to dive right into a brand new vehicle, well, they've got plenty of quality pre-owned cars and trucks all over the lot as well, and many of those you can find under $20,000, so they're affordable. You can also rest assured that they're thoroughly inspected and ready to finance for almost any credit rating. Quality vehicles ready to drive today, whether new or pre-owned. And if you're looking to just drive your car a little longer or get it fixed up like I had to a while back, then check out their award-winning service department standing by to keep you on the road. You can check out more information by giving them a phone call or checking them out in person, or visit the website, richardcarr.com, to set an appointment for quick and reliable service. In business for 24 years, they built a reputation as the people you can count on for your automotive needs, run by proud Central Texans. Log on to richardcarr.com today. Call now or go see them now off Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby is a homegrown, locally owned pizza place that's out of this world. Everything from the dough, the sauce, the sausage topping is made fresh in-house. Not to mention the amazing pizza pillows, the chicken wings are to die for. Try the Sikkim sauce, chili cheese fries or tots, plus great specials on food and drink every single day. Shorty's is also the perfect spot to watch the game with your friends. Shorty's Pizza Shack at 12th and Bagby. Tell them Paul sent you by.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, raise your cholesterol, and cause weight gain. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results. So if you're tired of being tired, call or go online at pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $165 a month, including lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, and follow-up visits, compared to $300 or more a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to drive 90 miles one way or the other and fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T has board-certified physician consultations and will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone. Contact Petty Clinic Low T for increased energy, improvement in sexual desire and performance, mood, concentration, even a decrease in body and belly fat. Just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway, pettycliniclowt.com.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak and Craig Smoak.
We were going to have Chris Level on yesterday and even today to discuss Texas Tech athletics, but we have to start with the tragedy of his cell phone. Chris joins us now on 365 Sports. So what did you do at lunch yesterday?
I didn't. It was my old phone. It went to the bottom of some water, and so it was unrecoverable. So when you were trying to call me yesterday, I was in the process of trying to get a new one, backing up, and it was just it took 9 hours, I think, for these. I mean, it's just a nightmare. So yeah, totally helpless feeling. But as you put it, David, as you told me, you were like, man, it sounds like you got a little peace on this day, but it's not how I viewed it. I felt totally helpless and was wondering what I was missing and who's trying to get a hold of me, and it was just a bit of a nightmare.
It's not like you were in the good. It wasn't in you're not in the mountains where you don't have cell phone because you're on vacation.
Right here in Lubbock, Texas, man. Right here in Lubbock, Texas.
Hey,
it was an accident, but all's well.
Where would you put? We have the incoming schools of UCF, Houston, Cincinnati, and also Brigham Young, and they all have their different fan bases. UCF has one that can be very much like Fire Ranch if you step on the wrong part of the hill. But where would you put Texas Tech's fan base, the personality, the atmosphere, the loyalty among now 14 teams in the Big 12?
That's look, I think that is a loaded question to start off things with. I think Tech's fan base is very passionate. I think they are a bit crazy at times. Maybe, I don't know if the right word is inappropriate at times, but I think that they are. Look, they care. There's a little. I think redneck to the fan base, but there's also a lot of part of the fan base that's very, loyal and I'm going to use the word classy, but I think that every fan base is different, and people are probably rolling their eyes when I use the word class or redneck in the same sentence, but that's just kind of how most
fan bases are. But yeah, this thing can get rowdy. I mean, certainly, and I think that's a good thing. If you're a coach at a program here, that's the way you want it to be. I mean, I used to have conversations with Chris Beard when he was the basketball coach, and he would be like, he's like, the fan base here, he goes, it toes the line. He goes, it's kind of perfect. He goes, you got the folks that kind of that are like on the good side. He goes, you got your crazy ones too. And he goes, the mix is just kind of, I like it because it's very unique from that standpoint.
Chris, there's obviously a lot of excitement bubbling up around Lubbock, Texas right now. It's a recruiting season at the moment, so camps are going on. And, we know a lot of that staff and the job they did here at Baylor a couple years back, but it's been impressive to see them just kind of hit the ground running and build off, those seeds they planted when they took the job over to begin with. What have you seen in terms of the recruiting side of things and how they've built up that part of the department and the success they've had so far? And how would you compare it to maybe some of the successful stretches that Tech's had previously? Is there a noticeable difference in what's being done right now, or is it just kind of rejuvenation of what can be done out in Lubbock?
I think that's why Joey is here. I think had recruiting gone well here over the last decade, there isn't, the transition from Tuberville to Cliff to Coach Wells and then to Joe, you're in the spin cycle a bit. And it's because the recruiting part had fallen short. I think, Mike, when he was here, he had a lot of stability. And I think that was the genius of Mike, is not just the X's and O's, but we all know those staffs that he had with him here, and we know where they all went. And he would surround himself with brilliant people, and then they stayed here for several years at a time together. And so you build some continuity. And I think in the last decade, you just haven't really had that. And I think the recruiting has suffered because, one staff comes in, well, they want their linebackers to be this size and this fast, and we want our offensive tackle to be this way, and we want a quarterback that can do this. And then the next staff comes in, and they've got a different idea. And so it just becomes a problem. But Joey's task when he got this thing, which is, again, I think that's what Kirby and everybody was so excited about Joey, is fixing the recruiting component. And what we've gotten is, you guys know this, an extremely energetic guy. I mean, the guy, he's a vibe, I guess as the young people would say. He's as energetic on a Tuesday afternoon as he is on a Saturday night in a full stadium. I mean, it never, it never changes. And I think that's infectious. And I think that it spills over into the recruiting component too. And I know you guys know that, but he's got a great process with the way that they vet kids and evaluate kids, and they believe in it. And it's something that Matt Rule taught him, honestly. And Joey would be the first one to tell you that, as they, incorporate track times. Can you dunk a basketball? Are you a good hurdler? I mean, there's all kinds of things they look at that checks a box for them on the way that they identify a prospect. And it's an arm length, the wrist size, whatever, and if you're trying to break a tie, if you check some of these boxes, they're like, we're going to roll on you. And we don't care what you're ranked. If you're a 2-star or a 5-star, whatever, you check these boxes. We think and that's what won him a Big 12 championship at Baylor. That's what, and he has the same process. And so it's been very impressive, and it was sorely needed. This football program hasn't been very good in the last decade. They had some nice seasons, but overall, it's just been a problem, and I think they're trying to fix it.
Do you feel like the Tech? We hear about Texas and Oklahoma and NIL and what they have and the setup, but do you feel like Tech is probably even further ahead than most people can realize with how they have been able to jump headfirst into it?
They were. I think there was some very smart people on the onset that got on the same page very early on, and then I think Joey had some input there too in trying to be fair, which is very difficult in this space, and trying to be, let's take care of everybody equally, and stuff like that, which is Pollyanna-ish in some ways. And they didn't really go by anybody. They just basically said, here's what we're going to do for our football players. And now it's spilled over into the women's basketball team, the baseball team. They're starting to do some things for the track athletes. Men's basketball is going to get a similar deal. And men's basketball, it's funny, you said about NIL. football and men's basketball were very involved with NIL last year, but they were completely opposite in how it was organized. And one of them was a disaster. And I think it spilled over into the court, or onto the court. And the product was not very good. And whether that had anything to do with it or not, I don't know. But they tried to buy a team last year in basketball, and it was not good. And football, they didn't care if you were the starting quarterback or you're the backup punt returner or whatever it was. This is what you get. If you want to go do a separate deal off on your own or whatever, knock yourself out. And that's the way they did it. And now they've kind of increased the way they're doing it, where they're giving more of the walk-on type guys some of that money. But again, everybody gets the same. And I think that, just being organized and on the same page with how to do it and everything like that, I think is giving them a bit of a leg up. And they have by no means set the bar or anything like that. But it's worked out here and it's worked well.
Chris, Tyler Shuck named the starting quarterback. I guess that was just a few days ago. I don't think that comes as a surprise to really anybody, but what were your thoughts? What did you kind of glean from, the quarterback competition itself, and just your thoughts on Shuck as, obviously a very seasoned guy, hard year last year for him, the injury and all of that, but what are your kind of expectations and thoughts surrounding that decision?
Yeah, it wasn't a surprise. I think we all knew that he'd won the job after the spring was over. It wasn't anything that Baron Morton did. I just think Tyler, when he's healthy, he's better. He's older. He's about 4 years older. He's got a lot more experience, and his only knock is just, hasn't been able to stay healthy. And, most of the quarterbacks that started the season last year in the Big 12 they all missed a game or a handful of games or half the season or whatever. And I think that was just that's just the nature of the position. You better have more than one guy at that spot. But Tyler, he weighs about 235 now. I think all the NFL folks that come through here rave about him and basically tell him and the staff he's an NFL guy, because he's 6'3", 6'4", about 235, very, very intelligent. He's an alpha. And the only knock is that he hasn't been able to put a full season together. And so that's really his biggest challenge, is his biggest, what's the old saying about your biggest ability is availability. And that's really where the next thing is for him, is can he do it for a sustained period? But there's a ton of excitement about this year's team. And I think Tyler deserves a ton of credit for that because of the 4-0 finish last year. I mean, he was the guy under center for that winning streak. They're sitting there at 4-5. You've started 3 different quarterbacks. He finally gets back right and healthy and starts, and he beats Kansas. He goes to Iowa State, beats Iowa State, and then he beats Oklahoma, beats Ole Miss. And so I think that he kind of set this team up for, some success and some excitement and some anticipation. But that's why it was going to be hard for him to get beat out on the job, because of the way he finished last season.
Facilities, the money is pouring in. We mentioned NIL, but that's the way it is. You have to keep up with the trends, and Texas Tech, of course, is going through that massive construction at the stadium. Your thoughts? What do you get to probably see it maybe daily? What's going on right now? What does it look like?
Well, I'm fascinated to see how quickly. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like this year. It's kind of sad that you have to go through these growing pains when you're building something like that. You have to have a season where there's going to be construction going on, bottom line. And, you have this big game with Oregon coming up, and they're not going to really have one end of the stadium completed. But it's a $250 million project that started out as a $200 million project. And, and they've decided that let's do this, let's do that. And they've kind of tweaked it and added to it. And it's the company that's doing it did some stuff at A&M. They've done some stuff for the Dallas Cowboys. They've done some stuff, I think, for the Yankees. And so they're really good at working on top of each other and getting it done right and quickly. But it's a massive project that will basically, it involves one end of the stadium. It involves, new turf and speakers and a new video board that's going to actually come with different video. I mean, there's going to be 3 new video boards total when it's all said and done and all that. But the main thing, I think, for like Joey and company is that it's a brand new football training facility that's 2 stories with a walkway that goes from that to the stadium. And I can't wait to see it, be finished. Parking is going to be a pain for the short term. But yeah, we're about 15 months away from that being completely finished. So this year is going to be a bit tricky. But yeah, it's two giant cranes that are, I don't know, 10 stories tall that are, over there working. And, so anyway, I'm like, where's the band supposed to sit? What are we doing like here in 3 months? Because it's not a lot of time between now and that season opener on September the 9th.
Maybe they can, and I know that's a rival. Back in the day, the A&M was able to destroy their stadium and build it up right during the offseason. They rebuilt Kyle Field in a matter of months.
Yeah.
But then again,
I don't. Yeah,
they have all the engineers, so that would not be a big problem for them. That
absolutely,
Chris. I don't think you can discuss recruiting, can you?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I can.
I wasn't sure because of your broadcast contact.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I want to make sure. If you can't just say that, but what are the feelings on Lake Belton's wide receiver, Micah Hudson, who's an elite player? A lot of other schools are involved, but Texas Tech seems to be right there in the mix.
Yeah, he's supposed to be here this weekend, and I think Texas Tech feels great about it. I don't know that that's any guarantee that he ends up a Red Raider. I think Texas is probably, maybe the biggest competition. I think depending on who you read or who you believe or who you listen to, one of those two schools is the favorite. I mean, he's got everybody in the country that would like to be a part of that. I think Tech's done a really good job of building those relationships with him. He's been up here multiple times already and will be here in an official visit capacity this weekend. I think there was some thought that he would take the full, amount of time and maybe not decide ultimately or make it public anyway until mid-December or whenever early signing day is. But I think there's a lot of thought now that an announcement could come much sooner than that, and that he may want to get it over with before his season starts. So we'll see kind of what that looks like. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of expectation that the Red Raiders will be in that until the very end. But if he, if he goes to Texas or somewhere else, it's not going to be a surprise. But I think, obviously the Red Raiders have made him a priority, and I think the way people will talk about Micah is that he's a guy that he's not into bells and whistles. He wants to be treated. He doesn't want to be handed anything or promised anything. He's a normal kid. He's not looking for NIL money or anything like that. And I think he just wants to be treated like one of the fellas. And I think that Texas Tech's been able to tap into that. And so we'll kind of see what happens there.
Well, I got a chance to watch him last year when they scrimmaged. It was a three-team scrimmage at Midway, and he looks the part. I mean, the colors they wear almost looks like all those other great wide receivers that go to Ohio State, his size and the speed and all that. But he is the real deal, no question about it. We'll see how that eventually ends up. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Okay, I still can't believe you didn't enjoy life without a cell phone. I think that would be – I would probably die.
And that's sad that I didn't enjoy it, right? That's right. You're right. I should have embraced it. Instead, I was a mess, and that's not a good thing. So, Yeah, maybe I need to listen to your words a bit louder.
All right, buddy. Thank you, Chris. Chris Level with us, RedRaidersports.com, part of men's basketball broadcast, also the football sidelines as well to cover Texas Tech athletics, football, basketball, and more.
I'd toss my phone into the Brazos River right now if I didn't have, FOMO about, like you said, what you're missing out on. And I could do without Twitter at this point. I mean, I think I could erase every social media account I have and not really look back. I've done that before with certain apps and didn't think twice about it. But got older parents, got a lot of older relatives, got, things like that gotta have that phone nearby, because I'm scared if I don't, then that'll be the time that somebody calls, right? And that's the trick that the devil played on us with these cell phones, is now we have to have them, because otherwise what are we not knowing about or learning about, or what could be happening? And so, yeah, it's a vicious little trap we found ourselves in.
How many people wake up in the morning, the first thing they do is check their cell phone?
Probably 95% of people. Yeah.
And hell, they know that too. Yeah, it scared the hell out of me the first time I ever saw the story about, I don't know if it was Brett Zerneman, but he was at College Station, woke up, got ready to go cover A&M at Kyle Field, and he got into his car. He had no alerts. He had no calendar reminders. He had nothing that said that he would be going to Kyle Field, but other than the history about the routine of time, and his cell phone told him how far away he was from Kyle Field. That happens to me when I leave the condo for work or whatever.
Yeah, you've told that story, and we've tried to tell you that's AI. That's what that is. That's like you act like it doesn't. That's the phone's learning what you're doing. And
I know.
Yeah, that's
I know.
why when you get in when I get in the car at 6:02 because Paul's not here. Then it'll say like, "Hey, here's where your place is," and it's weird, but that's the world we're living in now.
Did I tell the story about losing my cell phone on the show yesterday? Because if I did, then stop me. But when I was doing Tyler Junior College men's basketball, this was back in the day. There were no SIM cards. I don't know if that started later, but it was the old days of cell phones. I ran up the ramp, which is about a 25 to 30-yard run from where I was broadcasting courtside. Had to go to the bathroom. It was a commercial timeout, and I had an interview that we recorded that allows you to go get whatever, go pee, whatever. Ran into the bathroom, in the urinal, like in the toilet, to go pee, flushed it, and I went to grab my cell phone, and it went right down the toilet. The fear for me was not FOMO at the time because they were somewhat new. It was the contact numbers, all of that information that now you have a SIM card, it's backed up, iCloud, whatever, and I panicked. I couldn't even broadcast the rest of the game very well.
And you were clearly looking at your phone while you were peeing, for that to happen. Because if it was in your pocket, it wasn't jumping out and,
No, I laid it on that silver part at the top of okay. All right. When we come back.
No, I was thinking of the germs.
The Hall of Famer himself, John McClain, next on 365 Sports. Man, the city of Woodway, they've got some events coming up, including their 4th of July parade, the Woodway Public Safety Department's 4th of July parade, obviously July 4th from 9 a.m. till 11 a.m. It is free if you want to be a part of that. They're going to join the city of Woodway as they host their 4th of July parade. Line up at 8:45, the Crossroads Fellowship Church. It begins at 9. People encouraged to wear red, white, and blue attire. Non-motorized bikes and skateboards are actually allowed. Then, remember all the renovations they've done with so much, the Carling Bright Arboretum, the pavilion, and all that's just fantastic. The Woodway Whitehall Playground ribbon cutting, Friday, July 14th, 11 o'clock at Fresno Road. Whitehall Playground ribbon cutting will be 11 o'clock. It'll be like a 6-hour event, so you can enjoy yet another renovation from the city of Woodway. If you come to Waco for the Silos, Magnolia, whatever, Baylor, Athletics, etc., and you need a hotel and you can't find one in Waco, although there's so many more now than ever before, the city of Woodway has hotel reservations available, as they have 7 hotels and maybe even 1 or 2 now that might be opened on top of that. It's discoverwoodway.com.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
The future's bright, the time is now.
College is what you make it. It's a late-night pizza run and all-nighters coding a new project. It's having big dreams and making them a reality. It's a professor who knows your name and your story. It's preparation for your future, your calling, your life. And at Baylor, it's even more. Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Where is the best beef in Texas? Your house. When you order from Texas Beef House. Samantha Duvall is in charge of marketing and also distribution. Memorial Day, right around the corner, 4th of July. What are some of the best opportunities for people if they want to order online and maybe get a bundle when they have those holidays in front of them?
TexasBeefHouse.com. You can order. We've got plenty of family bundles. Probably our most bestseller is our sampler pack. That gives you a variety of our jalapeno and cheese patties, our regular patties, ground beef, our garlic link summer sausage. Right now, all of our family bundles are on sale. It's the best time to buy it. You can buy steaks individually. All of our steaks come 2 to a package. We ship Monday through Wednesday. So make sure you get your orders in early. That way you can get them almost the next day.
The owner, Aaron Duvall, his daughter-in-law, Samantha Duvall, head of marketing and distribution, unleash the flavor of Texas raised Wagyu. From our pasture to your plate, TexasBeefHouse.com. At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. Even offering financing if that's needed, everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
It's Jeep season at Allen Samuels in Waco, and the deals are hot. Get a 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo with $5,500 in total values, or a 2023 Jeep Gladiator Sport with total values up to $6,000.
This is 365 Sports. Are you a Sikkim 365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at Sikkim365.com.
Hall of Famer John McClain, Houston 610 Radio, with us on 365 Sports with Paul Catalina. Out for a couple of weeks, Craig Smoak, David Smoak. John, thanks for your time. So with Davis Mills, the quarterback, and they draft C.J. Stroud, how long before, in your opinion, Stroud was a starter for Texas?
Oh, I don't think he's been working, splitting time with the starters during the off-season program. He was again today. Mills has been the starter the last year and a half. And one thing that they want a new quarterback to show, they want him to prove to the veterans on the team, the other players, he's earned that job. They don't want to just gift wrap it for him. If you're like Bryce Young and you got a new quarterback behind you, it's not a big deal. They've gone ahead and named him as a starter. So D'Amico Ryans wants to wait, and he may go all the way through training camp, although we're going to be there watching every play. And they have 2 joint practices, and then they have their 3 preseason games. And being a rookie, he's going to need a lot of time of practicing and playing with the ones. So it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And I think it'll be sometime during training camp, maybe late.
John, what is maybe the most important storyline for the Texans that is not, I guess, juicy enough for people to talk about, or maybe it's just not something that's basically on the radar? Obviously, the quarterback's front and center. D'Amico Ryans, front and center. What's something that's not front and center but's pretty important high up there for them heading into the next season?
I wrote a column on the website I work for, my radio station, sportsradio610.com, about Stingley and Petrie. Derek Stingley last year, 3rd overall pick, got hurt, hamstring injury, didn't play half the year. Petrie started every game. Petrie played well. He made some mistakes on taking bad angles and missing tackles, but he corrected it. And usually players make their biggest improvement between the first and second season. So Petrie should be even better because he's going to be playing with Jimmy Ward, a veteran who played 9 years with the 49ers and followed D'Amico Ryans here. And so Stingley was drafted 3rd overall ahead of Sauce Gardner. Lovie Smith liked to play zone. Lovie put a guy who played man his whole career, and you don't draft guys 3rd overall to make them play zone coverage. But he played zone 66% of the time. Now he's going to be playing man a lot, and that's why they drafted him, to do like the Jets, Sauce Gardner, and cover receivers all over the field. So the secondary is an area that should be better. A lot of it, of course, has to do with the pass rush. Another thing people hear talking about, the offensive line. You know, if you don't have an offensive line that can run, block, pass protect for a rookie quarterback, you're spinning your wheels. They've had a new line coach for 4 years, and that kind of instability is just pathetic for young guys that have to grow. And so that offensive line coach, they hired Chris Strasser, who was with the Colts. And the Colts had one of the top 3 offensive lines until last year when Jonathan Taylor got hurt, couldn't lead the league in rushing with 1,800 yards again. It's amazing when a guy rushes for 1,800 yards how great the offensive line coach is. And so they've made another change. They hope now to allow them to have some stability up front, and that is a crucial area, more important than wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, because without consistent play from an offensive line, you know, you're going to have trouble developing a young quarterback.
Where, in your opinion, will Dalvin Cook play next or this season, and where will DeAndre Hopkins end up?
Hopkins was all about Super Bowl teams with great quarterbacks. Now he's cut. He's visited teams that have no prayer of the Super Bowl and don't have great quarterbacks, so you know it's going to be money. They'll never say that, of course. Wherever he goes, it'll be the perfect fit. Now, I would believe it with the Titans, but with the Patriots, knowing how he and Bill O'Brien felt about each other, I said he was no way he would go to New England. And I'm going to look like an idiot. Won't be the first time, won't be the last. And it shows time and money heal a lot of wounds if he goes there. But he's familiar with Mike Vrabel, played with him 4 years here, and Tim Kelly, the offensive coordinator in Tennessee, who was here for 7 years with Hop. So that would seem to be the best place to go, but it's going to be where he gets the most money.
J.J. Watt is going to be making his way back to Houston, inducted into the Ring of Honor on October the 1st. I don't think that, you know, him being honored is any surprise whatsoever, but just your thoughts. And John, I know it's Mount Rushmore season and typically try to avoid that as much as possible, but does he have a place on the Houston sports Mount Rushmore? Is he on the outside looking in?
Oh, boy, Craig. If you were talking about the greatest in our history, you got Earl Campbell, the greatest football player in Houston history, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Nolan Ryan. You know, and if there's been so many great players come through here in every sport. You know, we're talking about Bagwell, Biggio, Moses Malone, Elvin Hayes, A.J. Foyt, Carl Lewis. But considering Watt was 3-time NFL Defensive Player of the Year and everything he did off the field, he would have to be right up there for that 4th spot. But the first 3 are called the 34s because they all wore 34s. And I think if you put number 99 on that Mount Rushmore, nobody would complain. Although Andre Johnson was a great wide receiver. And right now they're like tied for the greatest in history. And we interviewed Watt today for the first time since he asked for his release and got it and went to the Cardinals. And it made me realize how much I miss interviewing him because he is such a great interview. And I asked him about what he's doing. And he said in his first year of retirement, it's all about his family. But he said there's an announcement coming soon about something he's going to be doing without devoting full time. So I'm guessing he's going to do a TV job, probably being a studio analyst, and he will be tremendous.
John, the Astros, they've had some injuries. You know, the Rangers have DeGrom. He's out for a year and a half, maybe longer with what happened. They seem to still be, you know, kind of doing what they've been doing, winning. But last night, a meltdown loss to the Angels. What is the take right now in Houston on the Astros?
The Astros have 3 pitchers, and they are keeping with Band-Aids with these other guys who probably shouldn't be in the big league in the big leagues. And when those top 3, Framber Valdez, Christian Javier, and Hunter Brown, don't pitch really well, like none of them did in their last start, the team is going to suffer. And Yordan Alvarez is out. Don't know when he's going to come back. Altuve missed first 6 weeks of the season. But you've got to have your proven players play well. And they have not done that. One of the things they can't do is consistently hit. Jose Abreu, who hit 2 home runs at Cleveland, they lost both games, has been a huge bust so far. And they've got young guys like Jake Myers, Chas McCormick, Corey Julks, Mauricio Dubon, who play better than they thought. But the main guys have got to play well consistently. And they hope to get Jose Urquidy back. I don't think Lance McCullers is going to pitch this season. Luis Garcia, who's lost with Tommy John surgery, may not see him till 25. So their pitching staff has been decimated. As of last week, when I looked, the Rangers have scored at least 10 runs 16 times.
Mm-hmm.
And the Astros have done it 3 times because they're not hitting and the Rangers are.
John, thank you as always. We appreciate you, man.
Thank you, guys.
Mark Berman, by the way, I don't know if you saw this. We asked John about Mark Berman from Fox in Houston. He has on his timeline.
Well, that was last week.
Huh?
That was last week. We asked him about that.
He has Mark Berman on his timeline. One former Houston sports star, owner, coach, whatever, after another saying goodbye to him. And, I mean, you talk about the legacy he set from Clyde Drexler to, again, anyone else you could imagine, a part of the Astros or the Texans or even the Oilers or whatever. It's pretty cool. I wanted to bring that up. Asked, John last week about Mark Berman.
I thought you were referring to this interview. I was like, no, we didn't ask him about this time.
No,
that was a week ago.
Not.
As far as the Astros go, I mean, they better hurry up and figure it out. There's only 97 games remaining in the rest of the season.
I thought that they had gotten within a game or 2 or whatever, and it was like wearing it. And then they've had a lot of injuries. They've really struggled. The Rangers, of course, have had some, but boy, Houston's really had to deal with quite a bit. The Rangers last night I thought was an absolute disgusting, reminded me of the last 5 to 7 years. It was just bad baseball and lost a game in extra innings to the Angels. And Shohei hit 2 home runs.
Yeah, really bad. Wasn't the worst way to lose a baseball game last night, though. No. That was another team in the state that accomplished that.
Yeah.
But, it was a bad loss, and they are kind of in a – I don't know if you call it a funk or anything, but they're just, kind of there. And Houston's going to be on their heels, come hell or high water. There's a long time left to go in the season. We're not even at the halfway mark yet. As I said, 97 games remaining for the Astros, so they have gotten to, a third of the way through now at this point.
Yeah.
And so long as their health is there, then they'll be right in the mix, and, God willing, the Rangers will be too. They've been a fun story. They've overcome the DeGrom thing so far. But that was another note I had for Off the Radar. DeGrom had his surgery. And that was just a bummer to see that, officially. I mean, we knew already when they announced he was going to have the surgery last week, but just a bummer knowing that there's going to be a long wait after they did what they did, operating on him to see if he can come back and even be anything close to what he was, no matter how good the surgeries and medical, parts of things for athletes are these days. That's still, a guy's getting up there in age, has had some previous injuries, and a pitcher, you just never know, man. So, yeah, I wish, if they had him as a part of this campaign right now, that would be something else. But unfortunately, not the way that it worked out for him. So, yeah.
Yeah, it sucks because with him, as good as they are, just imagine he was the edge, and they're trying to piece together the rotation. Although they have Haney's pitched well, obviously.
They got a good staff. You don't have Jacob DeGrom in it.
But with him in it, they were at a very high level. All right, thanks again to our guest. A little Big 12 flavor today with Houston, with Joseph Duarte, Mark Daniels, who covers UCF, Mac Rhodes, Baylor Director of Athletics, and Chris Level on Texas Tech. We appreciate all of their time. Tomorrow, I just went blank on one of our guests for tomorrow, but he's one of the college football analysts we'll have tomorrow, and maybe even a couple that write and cover college football athletics. All right, so Texas Beef House. It is Father's Day weekend coming up. Where is the best beef in Texas? Your house. when you order from Texas Beef House. Unleash the flavor of Texas-raised Wagyu from their pasture to your plate. You can go to TexasBeefHouse.com for more information on that. And Samantha, who's the marketing director, Samantha Duvall, his daughter, their biggest selling bundles, the Wagyu Sampler Bundle, variety of all of their hamburger products, hamburger patties, jalapeno and cheese patties, ground beef, summer sausage, and even garlic links. Also, the Great Divide, which is 20 pounds of product, a mixture of hamburger patties and ground beef, and the jalapeno cheese divide, 20 pounds of product, mixture of jalapeno and cheese patties and ground beef. And then, of course, there are the steaks. Premium grade Texas beef out of East Texas, just outside of Tyler. No hormones, no antibiotics, no steroids. Their customers are all happy. Kim Coulter, of course, loves the product and sent gift boxes to a lot of his friends, clients, etc. Wagyu beef ribs, tri-tip, roast, Wagyu hamburger patties, as I mentioned, or beef, Wagyu brisket, and, of course, amazing steaks. It's TexasBeefHouse.com. All right, we're back at it again tomorrow. Garrett Ross, Graham Bronstein, Jack McKenzie, and also Emery Winter. Craig, thank you very much. Enjoy the Stanley Cup tonight. We'll discuss college football and more. I'm David Smoak. Thanks to our amazing sponsors and those of you who watch or listen. Good night, 365 Sports.